Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of the Graveyard Media Podcast for the week of January 1st, 2018. That's weird to
Ooh,
say.
it is, isn't it?
With me here is Dalsson
Hi, that's me.
and Thel. I pointed the wrong way again because I always forget my camera's flipped.
Hi, we're back.
It has been a year
With
of
a
video
vengeance.
games.
It's been a whole year since we did a podcast.
It sure
A
has.
whole year since I got to make those jokes.
It's been a legitimate
A
year since
legitimate
we made
whole
those
year
jokes.
since I was allowed to make those jokes. So technically, if I do the first thing for a year, I'm allowed to make those jokes at any point in the year. But it's not nearly as fun if you don't do it on the first day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're gonna
But then people
do.
just be like, "The fuck are you talking about?" Okay.
So we're gonna do a little bit different this time, rather than talking about. Well, I think we'll still start with games and movies we've checked out
Yeah.
this week, and then
Yeah.
or this last 2 weeks because we took last week off.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we'll go into some of our favorite things that happened last year in gaming. All right,
Okay.
who wants to start this week?
I'll go
Now,
first. Okay. So I saw a movie, and needless to say, I'm really excited to talk about it. We didn't do the thing for two weeks, but I did actually get around to seeing it, and I'm super happy I finally get to talk about Logan. So this movie fucking sucked. I didn't even know where to begin. So for the most part, I won't. It's just a fucking terrible X-Men movie. I see a lot of critics praising this movie, and sure, the performances are all really good.
Well,
And the cinematography was incredible, and it sounded great, and about 90% of what makes a movie good was good. And maybe it was a good movie, but this is a shit X-Men movie. Critics just
Well,
don't
you watched
understand.
this freaking ages ago. What are you talking about?
Hey, hold on, I'm not done. The biggest problem is Logan himself. This guy was Wolverine. Why the fuck is he so jaded? I know this takes place a few years after the X-Men movies, but this totally ruins his character completely. Why did you have to shit on my Wolverine, James Mangold? God damn it, you fucking
I
piece
see
of
what his
shit.
point is.
This is not what X-Men is supposed to be. Wolverine is supposed to be a hero. Oh yeah, and also everything set up in the previous movies, completely thrown out the window. None of it went nowhere. The mutants are all dying. Fucking no more mutants being born. Are you fucking kidding
I
me?
get where he's going with
All this
this.
build up in the previous movies for fucking nothing. What in the ever-loving fuck, James Mangold? Also, it was full of plot holes. Like, why didn't the lady just tell Wolverine that she was helping escape fugitive? Also, there were more. Anyway, I'm not a brain-dead fanboy, but I've been an X-Men fan since I was 3 seconds old. And you know what?
All right,
Mangold
I think
completely
we're-
fucking
Can
ruined
we
this
stop,
entire movie
please?
for me.
I think we've got the point. Thel saw Star Wars: The Last Jedi this last couple of weeks.
I thought it was really good. So as far as legitimate criticism people are giving this movie, one of the things,
Just to stop you real quick though,
Mhm.
Logan was actually more true to the character in Logan than it was in most of
In
the
any
other
other
movies.
X-Men
So
movie.
all right,
so just to take a step back, that
okay.
parallel isn't exactly the same, but
Oh yeah. It isn't. It's not like
it
a
happened, and
perfect-
everyone, including the fans, were like, "Hey, they finally made a good X-Men movie."
Yeah.
No, basically. So pushing away the stuff about like Luke's character, people hated that because he wasn't a Mary Sue. I honestly thought the stuff with Luke was some of the best stuff in the movie. The stuff with Rey and Kylo was incredible. I ain't gonna defend the casino stuff. That was kind of bad. But the thing that I will defend is the pose plot. This is the one that a lot of people have had an actual problem with. One of the good criticisms I've heard is that it sort of just leads to nowhere, and that a lot of stuff just leads to nowhere. But as far as all this movie, there's a lot of this movie that doesn't really rhyme with The Empire Strikes Back, right? That's just one of the things that people are really excited. People are going crazy. A lot of people are who are dumb are saying this movie is good purely because it isn't, which that's not why this movie is good. This movie is good because of what it does with the characters. Honestly, as far as like all of that stuff, all of the stuff where it like goes back and stuff doesn't lead to anywhere, that's where it really rhymes with Empire Strikes Back. Like, you look back to Empire, you remember Luke training with Yoda, right? When he's training with Yoda, he gets that whole vision about the Cloud City. And because of that, that sort of forces him to leave his training, and that has Obi-Wan and Yoda sitting there like, well, he fucked off. He didn't get to finish his. We told him not to, but there he fucking goes. At least we got Leia. Yeah, at least we got Leia. And so it's like that. He grew a little bit stronger, but that was it. Just like Rey. And then there was like the whole when Han gets captured, the rebellion is still exactly where it was at the beginning of the movie. They're still entirely on the run from the Empire, which is a little. I would say that this movie goes a little bit farther in that, like at the end of this movie, the rebellion isn't doing too good, rather than an Empire where the rebellion was they were pretty much on the same level of where they were.
But I think, in fairness, the Last Order is a little bit like isn't the Empire kind of retreated quite a bit too after the events of the last movie? So they're kind of both on the ropes, aren't they? In a way?
No, I don't
not
think
quite,
so.
Not quite to the same
yeah,
extent.
Not quite
but...
as much. I mean, like the First Order lost a bunch of ships, but it still seems like because I feel like that's one of the that is one of the big problems I do have with both of these movies is I don't feel like we know enough about First Order. I mean, they want the Empire to be the Empire again, but I mean that's about it. It's not really. They haven't really divulged all that much.
And these aren't spoilers. This is just like what came out.
Yeah,
and
this is stuff
movie.
from the last movie. Yeah, from Force Awakens. We just don't really know that much about them.
You forgot to turn off autofocus.
Oh, me?
Yeah. You keep moving in and out, and it keeps.
Yeah, it does that. I'm a twitchy person.
You're a twitchy Twitch streamer, huh?
Yeah. Anyway. Another thing again, like I mentioned, there was one plot in the Logan thing I was doing. I mentioned that there was like a plot hole. This plot hole is the one that everyone comes back to. Excuse me, having to do with the Poe plot, and this is really weird that people get hung up on this one in particular because it's like to go without spoilers. There is a military leader who has a plan that another guy does not agree with and goes off and does his own thing. We're supposed to think throughout most of the movie that the guy who that goes off and does his own thing is in the right and knows what he's doing. The military leader is being stupid because
Oh, is it the they should have just talked to each other thing?
Yeah,
what
you're
talking about? Okay.
I
feel like not to go too deep into it, but like.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't think it's. I don't know.
The thing is, like, if you look at it from like any one person on this ship, it's like this one person has the idea that the plan is abandon ship, we're gonna die, and this other guy's plan is we're just gonna stay here and wait for something to maybe happen. We're just gonna fucking do that. Is that a good idea?
I don't think that it's a plot hole because characters can just decide not to tell each other. Like,
well, yeah,
I don't think that's a plot hole. That's just what the character
did. Well, not only that, but it was absolutely established that one character told that the character who didn't tell this specific person about this told at least 3 other people about this. And not only that, but one of the things that banks on the abandoned ship plan is something that while I was sitting there, I wasn't thinking like, why didn't she just tell him? I was thinking like, why didn't he know about that? Because this guy's plan banked on the exact same thing that her plan did. So
not quite.
Not what?
No, because his plan was to. I don't want to go into it, but his plan was slightly different.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, like there was one little bit of his plan, one little bit of her plan that sort of coexisted, having to do with the tracking beacon.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's like, well, why didn't you want to do this in the first place?
But I mean, like, I don't think it's a plot hole because both of the characters decide independently not to talk to each other on purpose. So like,
and the only people who are mad about it are the people who like
are looking for something to complain about.
Or just.
Oh yeah, no. I don't mean like the people who are mad about like this being in the movie. I mean the people in the movie who are mad about the decisions made in the movie. The only people who are mad about it are the people who are like hugely loyal to this other guy. And
I mean, I guess you could just say that,
even though it's a huge stretch.
I just feel like you can just say that she made a poor decision, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Like at most, that's at most that's what it was. It was a poor decision. It wasn't a plot hole.
yeah.
Well,
I know
and-
that people also had a issue with a particular Leia scene.
Oh yeah,
That was another thing.
I don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, it was like
I think a lot of people forgot that Return of the Jedi happens and that they established this.
yeah,
Okay.
and they
Anyway.
outright say
Yeah.
multiple times that she's force sensitive. So I don't.
Yeah. So Leia can use the fucking Force. I don't know.
Did
It's
people
like
really have a
the
problem with
fucking
Leia
Force
being
can do
force
whatever it
sensitive?
wants. Welcome to the Force.
She
bitch.
does something a
Space
little
magic.
bit more crazy than just being
Yeah.
force sensitive, but
Yeah, it's
Right,
a little
but
bit
if you
crazy, but-
are force like this takes place years and years after the original
yeah,
trilogy, right? So
Yeah.
if you are force sensitive, like the whole point is you can hone your skills with the force. So if she does something, if she
Not
like
necessarily
does something with the
because
Force, I don't-
Well,
not
here's the thing,
necessarily
it's implied that
because
she hasn't.
Han Solo also is like they imply heavily that he's also force sensitive and he doesn't do anything like this. Whereas,
Right.
but I think the thing is like she was put in a very crazy situation
Mhm.
that kind of put her in fight or flight, and she chose fight. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened with that.
Right.
But
I don't know.
again, movie isn't good because of the way that it shakes things up. What's really good is just the way that it handles the character. Everyone has a nice arc. It is true that Kylo Ren does sort of end up. Kylo does end up exactly where he was before, but that was
I don't think
sort of-
so. I think that Kylo did develop quite a bit. I thought
Oh,
Rey developed quite a bit. If anyone didn't develop at all in this movie, it was Finn.
Yeah, Finn and Rose's whole subplot was like
Finn-
that was the bad part. of
Finn
the movie,
literally
but here's the thing.
did
Yeah.
what the same thing that he did in the last movie that he learned his lesson in the last movie.
Yeah.
So
And it's like they tried to like explain some things to Finn about there was like a bunch of scenes with this one dude talking to Finn about how there's two sides to everything, and it's like didn't he start with that idea in mind? Wasn't that the last movie that we talked about that? But yeah.
you know what else is kind of funny?
What?
One of the major components of this plot was breadcrumbed in that
Force
movie.
Awakens?
No, not Force Awakens, the other one.
Rogue
Oh.
One?
Rogue One, yeah.
How? It was so long ago.
Okay, so I guess this is a very minor spoiler. One of the
Okay.
things one of the principal things in The Last Jedi was that they were being tracked through hyperspace, which is something that
Okay.
never happened before. But there was a
Right.
scene in Rogue One where they mentioned that they're working on hyperspace tracking. It's one of the things the main character was looking through.
That's cool. Okay.
So it's kind of
Kinda
interesting that they kind of like
Right.
almost retroactively breadcrumbed that. I don't know.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it wouldn't be mentioned before because it wasn't being used. It wasn't there. It just they found out about the plans for development, but now it's being used.
Yeah.
Where was I?
Some people didn't like the humor, and I think that's probably a
I
better
agree with
complaint.
that.
I think that's a
I
better
agree with
complaint. I think
Yeah.
that I think that a Star Wars movie should have some levity, but I think the way they went about it in a lot of cases wasn't great.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
so
there were-
some people didn't like Poe's joke in the early part of the movie, and I thought that was fine because it had story implications. But there was also Porg stuff, which was dumb.
Yeah.
So
The Porg stuff. A lot of just the genuine silly humor was kind of bad. There were two jokes that were really good. There was this really good visual joke about a iron, which was great. And then there was another joke like very near the beginning, just oh, what was it? Shoot, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, it was a union dispute. Don't ask. I thought that one was okay. That one was good. Anyway, again, the thing that really makes this movie
Your
good
camera
is
is
the
still
character.
like focusing and refocusing.
That's Skype's fault. Anyway, the thing that makes this movie really really good is the characters. Specifically Kylo Ren, it does seem like he goes from point A to point B, but that's to give like less to sort of give Kylo's character an arc and more to give a sort of emotional connection between Rey and Kylo, sort of like how Luke had with Vader in, Empire. Again,
Mhm.
like the best stuff in this movie thematically rhymes with Empire. Even
Yeah,
though-
that's
oh,
the thing.
sorry.
Like in Force Awakens, they copied the plot from
Straight up. Yeah.
the original Star Wars. Where this one they took all of the themes of Empire Strikes Back and told a new story with it, which I thought was a better way of doing it.
That, it was it was more thematic than Empire. They had different themes.
Well, they had additional themes, but I think a lot of the core themes in Empire Strikes Back were mirrored. Like,
and not themes. Not I feel like the themes were different, but yeah, sorry, I'm tired as hell. The themes were different, but there's another word that I'm looking for, and I'm losing words all day.
well, I kind of disagree. I think the themes are very similar, but I have to open my door for my cat again, so
Okay.
cats want in and out.
The themes are different, sorry, but the things that they do with their characters.
Right.
Basically how they get the characters from point A to point B.
Mhm.
And again, I loved Luke, and really I feel like this is more for like the people who have legitimate complaints about this movie. This is more, I like the stuff that was good in this movie more than I like the stuff that was bad. Because yeah, the casino stuff was kind of bad, but I felt like immediately after the casino stuff ended, the movie improved.
I didn't mind the casino stuff.
I
know that other people didn't, but I didn't mind it. I think what's happening with Star Wars is people really didn't like the characterization of Luke, and that's an opinion. So they're going back and looking for reasons why they think it's bad. It's not.
Oh yeah.
I think that it's not that anything in the movie was like, oh, that's just stupid. I think that, except for maybe like some specific parts that are very like divisive, like the Leia scene.
Yeah.
Because I've heard a lot of varying opinions on that one, but I think that overall people just wanted to go back and look for reasons to dislike it and say that they're plot holes, when really all they really didn't like was just Luke's characterization. I think that's all that it could be.
And it's really weird to me that people didn't like it. I mean, I guess that's just like, I kind of like the idea that Luke was not like coming out of this as some, Mary Sue. I'm glad that he was a character in this movie rather than like a plot device. You know what I'm saying? He didn't exist there to teach Leia as just like a throwback to the old movies. Like, here's this character. He was a actual character in this movie. And yeah, people are reaching a lot for reasons to not like this movie. I've heard a lot of people complain about like SJW pandering, and it's like, come on, man.
Is that just because one of the major characters is black, one of the major characters is Asian?
No.
Is that what it is?
I think they said something along the lines of just like a lot of the lines and the writing in this movie was SJW pandering. It's like,
that's dumb.
I think that's people projecting onto it.
That's
They're looking to interpret stuff like that, and it's like I don't know.
It's the same thing as feminist frequency. They go in with the mind that it's going to be horrible social.
Yeah, but like the opposite. Exactly.
Well, I mean, I would say it's like the exact same thing, but
they're looking for opposite things, but with the exact same intentions.
Things, but it's the same intention is what I mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's much more we can say about Star Wars without actually spoiling it. So why don't we move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that we did. I think that we talked about it enough without it.
I have a few games to talk about, but do you want to go first, Saine?
No, I need to look up what I've even played because I guess I played a little bit.
I played
Sorry, Phil.
more Metal Gear Solid 5, and yeah, so far it's still really
Yeah,
good.
Still good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's still good.
Thanks for classifying.
I've gotten to a point where I feel like I can very well like talk about it, and yeah, it's fun stealth game. There's a shit ton of stuff you can do. I haven't even tried out half of the stuff because like there's stuff that like obviously works really well, but like even like I do kind of like to play in my games and like okay I use this specific setup and I get really good with using this specific setup, but even with this game I feel like I have like multiple different things I can do depending on the situation, or even like multiple things I could do given any situation.
Right.
And
Or like there are weapons where it's like, oh, I very much see the value of this weapon over this weapon. I'm just going to take this
Yeah.
weapon now. Even though I really like this weapon, I really want this weapon too, so I'm just going to take
Yeah.
this instead.
Yeah.
Or stuff um like oh, I played this mission doing it this way. Maybe I'll go back and replay this mission with this setup. Like it's very much allows you to do that.
That I know is in this mission, and I really want him, so I'll go do it again, and I'll try harder to capture him instead of kill him.
Yeah, there's like. So I have a question. I don't know how far into the story of it you are. How do you think that they do their storytelling? Because this is something that I've kind of heard. I mean, it's a Kojima game, so it's like weird already, but I've heard kind of mixed feelings about how people enjoyed how the story was laid out.
Unfortunately, I don't really. I feel like I'm the least qualified to talk about this just because I don't exactly have much of a.
Oh, I guess that's true. That
this repertoire, yeah.
I think that there's nothing specific that you would need to know. So, what do you think of the story? I guess.
Like I mean like not necessarily like plot points, right? I mean like the way that he tells his story. Because like I feel like a lot of people who compared this game were a little bit disappointed by the story just because of the fact that like it wasn't told the same way as the other Metal Gear Solid games.
I don't think that's no. I think the issue that a lot of people have is just that it's an open world game where everything is kind of very straightforward, and then you go into things, and then suddenly a bunch of spooky and non like what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't know, not spooky, but like paranormal stuff starts happening in certain missions, right? Just kind of almost out of nowhere. Do you think that despite that the narrative kind of works with it, or do you think it's kind of all over the place?
I do feel like the narrative sort of works with it just because of the fact that it sort of sets up this world where it's like it's like the you're fighting the Soviets, you're running around, you're blowing them up, but also there's all this crazy bullshit super weapon stuff that turns
it's not like
people
it just
into
suddenly
zombies.
It's not like it just suddenly hits you in the face. Like literally one of the first thing that happens in the game is you get eaten by a giant whale made of fire.
Well, you don't, but a helicopter does.
Yeah, a helicopter gets whatever. So like it's not like it suddenly hits you in the face. Like the beginning of the game frames that like this is the weird shit that's going on, even if you don't know anything else about Metal Gear Solid.
Well, here's the thing. Another thing that really helps this go along is just the fact that it's set like in the 80s, and you're using a fucking handheld projecting smartphone.
Yeah.
iDroid. So it's like, the fact is, it's like this has created this world where there's like super soldier technology in the 80s. Everything is super technologically more advanced than we even have now because it's
eventually
an underground world.
Eventually, you can upgrade your prosthetic arm to be a rocket fist.
Yeah.
And you can steer the fist and like punch people from far away with it.
I remember that. I remember seeing videos of that.
But yeah, no, like I think that I guess I was just curious how you thought about it, if you thought that it was just kind of disjointed weird, but I definitely didn't mind it. And I feel like this is like the only thing you can really say is that it is less linear, right? For better or for worse, it is a less linear game.
Yeah.
Whereas that's like really the only difference, because in something like Metal Gear Solid 3, you were given like pretty large open areas. It wasn't to the same scale as this game, but in Metal Gear Solid 3, you would be given like a decent chunk of map to play in.
Yeah.
and then you would kind of like go through that area, and then you like when you moved through transitions from maps to map, that's usually when story happened. Whereas this is just like you have to go and be in a mission before story happens. But I think they do a good job of like, surprise, spooky stuff is happening now. Like, whereas you could think, oh, this is just going to be a straightforward mission. You go in and you do the thing, and then like after you do the thing, suddenly something weird is suddenly happening. So I don't know. I wanted to see how you felt about the story so far is all.
Yeah, so far it's pretty good. I feel like as far as like open world games, it's like Grand Theft Auto 5 really fucking blew it out of the water as far as that. I don't know, like, you're gonna have to do some good shit to get past that, but so far it's really good. I do want to play the other Metal Gear Solid games.
Here's kind of how I feel about Grand Theft Auto versus Phantom Pain, like, right?
Yeah.
So I
As far
think
as, like,
that
storytelling goes, but
no, not storytelling, as in terms of like their open world design.
oh, okay, yeah.
I think that Grand Theft Auto does a very good job of like making you feel like you're there, like and making the city feel alive. But past that, people like you don't really get very much emergent behavior, right? Like it's just very straightforward. Like at most, they'll jump out of the way if a car is gonna hit them, right?
Oh yeah.
That is like the extent of emergent behavior in that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that's not even really emergent. That's just like a scripted reaction. Whereas in Phantom Pain, there is a bunch of systems like layered on top of each other that let you kind of get around things. Like you can do things like drop boxes onto people's heads. You the like airdrop stuff. Like you can do like a lot of it has to do with manipulating the enemy's AI, and the AI is very like predictable in a good way. So you can kind of know, like, it makes sense why they would be doing things, but predict that they're pretty reliably going to do things, right?
Right.
Whereas in Breath of the Wild, I think its strength with its kind of emergent gameplay has more to do with the weather systems and how those interact. Whereas there's a little bit of that in Phantom Pain, but it's mostly like it's not exactly the weather stuff that really changes the environment. It's how you use the weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the AI is what makes Phantom Pain good, whereas the weather systems is what makes Breath of the Wild good. Whereas in Grand Theft Auto, it's mainly just a really good designed city, right? So I don't know. I think that they're all good in their own ways, but it's definitely different. Three really different approaches to kind of the same sort of problems in open world games. I feel like Phantom Pain is probably one of the best open world games up until Breath of the Wild came out. And they solve a lot of the problems with open world games in like diametrically opposite ways, which is kind of interesting. In terms of like Breath of the Wild doesn't give you a lot of icons. You kind of choose what icons you have and like what you want to do, and it's more about exploration in that game. Whereas in Phantom Pain, it's like they give you a little bit of like icons and stuff, but it's not so much about exploring the world. It's more about having fun in the world with all of these tools you're given. So it's kind of like different approaches to the same thing, which is really interesting.
Grand Theft Auto is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto is like they did a really good job of making you be able to drive cars and steal cars and beat people up and shoot people, and like that's about it. Which
and again,
for better or for worse,
you can perform the act of Grand Theft Auto.
Well, yeah, and also, you know, Grand Theft Auto, you play a great story about these the two sane characters in literally South Park the universe. All not literally, figuratively. You know what I'm saying?
Figuratively, because there's also a South Park game
that is very literally.
There's two
South
of them
Park
now.
There were South Park.
Well, there was
games
one
on the
released this year,
N64.
which is why I mentioned it.
Yeah, there's two open world South Park games.
Yeah.
Made by Bethesda.
I thought they was the other one. I don't think it was Bethesda.
Pretty sure it's Bethesda.
It's not Bethesda.
I'll look it up real quick, but let's.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So I have one game I want to talk about, which is a good segue.
Okay, yeah.
Open world games with incredibly emergent behavior.
Mhm.
I've been playing a lot of Middle Earth: Shadow of War.
Mm.
Now,
South Park is Obsidian
Yeah, that's what I thought.
and Ubisoft, published by Ubisoft.
damn it.
So it's Ubisoft, not Bethesda.
I thought it was Bethesda because the whole fucking game mechanic in the first one was dragon shouts in the form of farts.
I was
Well,
Obsidian
whatever.
making fun of
Literally
Bethesda.
called them dragon shouts. But yeah, I guess they were just making fun of Bethesda. Anyway,
Fuck you for taking away our money from Fallout New
Now-
Vegas.
now I know that we talked a lot about how Shadow of War was going to be shit and none of us were going to even try play it, but it went on a pretty decent sale, so I was like, "Oh, fuck it. I really like the first one. I'll just pick it up. And I'll just ignore the loot boxes." And I'm in, I believe, almost in the third act of the game, and the loot boxes are totally worthless. There is no point to purchasing them with money. And in addition to that, every single day you get a challenge that it's called a community challenge, which you can earn the in-game fun dollars that let you buy loot boxes. So like loot boxes, we've talked enough about that. Throw it out the fucking window. The loot boxes in Shadow of War are not nearly as egregious as it seemed.
I don't care. I don't want. They made the
Yeah, I
last.
don't-
They
yeah.
made the last section of the game incredibly grindy, basically
They-
for no reason.
Yeah,
Whether
for no
like
reason.
it, maybe it wasn't because of the loot boxes, but it certainly feels like it regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they ain't getting my
it's
money.
still paying money for cheat codes, which I don't
Yeah,
like loot boxes in any single player game. I don't like
yeah.
I don't like I don't know. Like I don't need like it's the same thing with Dead Space 3 back in the day. Like I
Mhm.
don't think you
For,
should
like,
be
ammo
able
and
to
stuff.
buy like ammo and stuff. And I know it's
Right.
slightly different in this game, but it's like
It's
I
still
don't
loot boxes
know
are the same
that
as
I
every
will
game.
never play it, but I am definitely turned off to it quite a bit because of it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I like without getting into the big long discussion that we get into every single time, I just want to say I completely do not understand how the fourth act could possibly encourage you to buy loot boxes by being grindy. Like even if you buy loot boxes, it's still going to be grindy. That will not change at all. It's not like the fourth act is going to have you grind for orcs. It's going to probably what I imagine is going to happen is you have to do the online play a lot, right? And
You have to do something like 12 strongholds.
that takes they take 10 minutes a piece. I don't know. It just doesn't
They take
seem
longer by that point in the game. But
okay. Fair.
but
But-
I don't know. It's like it's doing the same thing over and over again, which you can, and then like you have your orcs who come with you who all
Mhm.
die in that
Right.
They die like constantly in that section. So it's like in order to even do it, you have to have like enough orcs, and it's
They give you 12 minutes to res them. By like a
no
like
in
a
that
auto
game
res
they
style
no by
thing.
that point in the game they just instant kill.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like I don't know. Like you haven't made your whole way through
I
yet,
haven't,
but
it's
of
true,
everything
but
I've
the
seen,
stronghold missions.
like yeah, you can say that I up through the first 3 acts, like you don't need loot boxes. But I think the fourth act is like such a bad chunk of the game that like it would be better to not be there. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's something I'll just have to see because I do
Yeah.
intend to play more of it. But let's get off loot boxes and talk about the game itself. I think it's first off it's like more of the same of the first game, except it has the new stuff in that you can hold strongholds like actively. Like in Shadow of Mordor, you could brand some orcs and then they would passively move up, and then it was like, wow, now you have an orc that's a captain and that doesn't do anything for you. You just say you just kind of can say that he's there and maybe he'll come help you every once in a while. But in this one it's like there's a real reason to go around and steal orcs from Sauron, because you have these strongholds, you have to hold them. Sometimes the ring wraith will attack your strongholds and then you have to like tell him to go away while your orcs distract all of the like things he summons and stuff. Or sometimes another orc that you have captured will stab you in the back, and then you have to go and get the stronghold back from him. And so it's like there's an actual reason to go around branding and capturing these orcs, which that was why I fell off the first game. Once I got the brand ability, it was like, well, now I've branded every single orc in this area, and that's it. But
I don't know. I had a pretty different experience. Like, I did have to kind of push my way through the end of the game. But that's just because I kind of got bored of the combat by then.
Right.
Whereas, it was never the branding thing was always the best part of that game. And I do, like, from what I've heard of it, it does sound like they've expanded the reasons why you would want to, like, have branded orcs anyway, just kind of in general.
Yeah,
like, which is good. They kind of expanded that as part of the Nemesis system. Good, because that was the best part of the first game. But, but yeah, I don't know. I don't quite agree that there was no reason to do it in the first one. I thought that was. It
just felt like it wasn't helpful to me. Like, I could either go and kill all the orcs and then the area would be empty, or I could brand all the orcs and then the area would be empty. Like, that was all I felt that.
But when you branded the orcs, it would give you information and it opened new events and tell you how to do the next section of the game. Whereas if you just killed them, then you would have to, like, kind of just go from place to place killing everything. It would it wasn't it didn't help you progress. So
another thing that I really enjoy about it is that there are these, like, you can actually, like, tell your branded orcs to go on missions to increase their level or whatever, and then you can either go help them or you can, like, sit and watch them fight. There's just, like, so many new interconnected systems with you have orcs, and then there's bad orcs, and then there's your orcs.
I hear by the last act you basically can't use that anymore because they die pretty consistently. I don't know. It seems
I don't understand how the last act could possibly be that different. They're like, I've gone to every single area that is in the game. I was hearing
that there was no point in ever having legendary orcs because anytime you sent them on a mission, they would die immediately every time.
But then what's the point? Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Like, no, like it was like you basically couldn't do it that way anymore. is essentially what was happening. Even if you went with a bunch of orcs, like if you went into an area with 4 or 5 orcs, they would die while you were fighting.
But here's what I don't understand. If you send an orc on a mission, then you go and babysit him on that mission. Even if he dies, that means the orc that he's fighting is stronger than he is. So then you can just brand that orc that killed your other orc and get the stronger orc. So I have no idea how that.
No, because if you brand, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that it might be stronger in, like, level, but it might be less rare, which means it has less attribute stuff.
Right.
So, like, if you could get a higher level orc, but he wouldn't have as many, like, skills.
Right.
So it would be a more worthless orc. So I don't know. It's just Plus, if you're running in an area with 4 or 5 orcs kind of in different areas in the map, and they're all, like, dying separately, there's no way to capitalize on all 4 or 5 of those things.
Well, you still get 3 turns to go to each of their things, so you can send 3 orcs on 3 different missions, then do 1, 2, and 3 in a row.
No. In the last section of the game, you're doing the strongholds with, like, multiple orcs at once. And they're dying.
Oh, no, that's how the strongholds work. That's how the strongholds work now. But, like, you can just send them on a nemesis mission. Like, say, Pigfucker the Ugly Faced. You want to have your cool guy, Mr. Britman, go kill him, and then you go fight Pigfucker the Ugly Faced with him. And then you kill him, and your orc levels up when you.
Well, I mean, maybe you can level them up through the Nemesis system, but from everything I was hearing, there was no reason to ever do that because they would die too easily later. So there was no point in ever leveling up. I was hearing.
Weird.
Like, I think you're
That
just
just
gonna
seems
have to
really
play the
weird to
last
me.
act before we can
Yeah,
really
I'll have to
talk
play
about
that
it,
last
because
act.
I feel like if I were to play that game, I would play the first 3 acts and then watch the true ending online, and I would just not
Yeah.
play the 4th act.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot. Okay, so there's one more weird point that comes in with this, is that the first game was really, really good about not screwing with any Lord of the Rings lore. Like, anything that it used that was established was,
Like, it could have happened. It was
yeah, like
again,
it
was
could have happened. It's like,
nebulous.
sure, yeah, it's nebulous. Anything that it used that was unestablished was like, well, it was unestablished, but that's just the thing. We don't know enough about the inner workings of Mordor, so maybe Caragors are around in Mordor and wargs can't survive very easily.
Can we
So
switch?
wild
Can we
Car- who
switch to
knows?
a different server? Because you were like, I'm getting like really weird interference from you.
Weird,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead and switch. Go ahead and switch the
Okay.
Discord server.
Yeah, sure.
It
Um,
almost sounds like you're cutting out or something, but not.
Strange.
It's like you're roboting.
Um,
Okay, I changed it. So
Okay. Hopefully that should be better. But then in the second game, like, this is really minor spoilers because it is literally before you get, it's like the prologue. So you have to go and like save something from some, I don't even remember exactly what I was doing. I think I have the ring and I'm like killing orcs or something with the ring. And then, oh yeah, your wraith gets captured by some mysterious force that you don't know what it is. You have to go save your wraith, your friend Celebrimbor, and
Colin Brimbor.
Celebrimbor, yeah. And when you get to where he is captured, he's tangled up in like a magical spirit spider web, and then a giant fucking spider pops out, and you're like, "Oh god, is that Shelob? What's going on?" And then she turns into a hot lady with big boobs, and she's like, "I'm Shelob,
You
the
guys remember the
queen of
Robert
witches."
Zemeckis Beowulf movie where Angelina Jolie played
Grendel's mom, yeah.
I felt like was more forgivable.
Oh, that was more forgivable.
I think Beowulf was
Which
more
one?
forgivable. No, I think that there was no reason to kind of ever to like have Shelob be a human or have a human avatar or even a spirit world or whatever. Whereas they
the
never
thing
talk
is-
specifically about what Grendel's mom looks like. So
Yeah, she just
Yeah,
exists.
Beowulf fucked off and killed Grendel's mom, or with his dick.
Yeah. So
whereas like I think that what Beowulf was doing was more intentional in that it created an additional plot in the story that kind of inserted itself in like between the actual story, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I
Whereas, like,
think in
literally-
this it's taking something out of fucking nowhere for
The
no
only
reason,
reason I
other
could
than they want to
possibly
have a
think-
hot chick in it. Like that's
yeah,
literally all it was.
It's like all they wanted was, we want a hot chick instead of some ugly spider. And it's not even like, oh, she has to have this human avatar, because that's not her true form. Her true form is the spider. When you're looking at her through the wraith world, like the way that the ring wraiths see the world, or like however, maybe it's like however Frodo, it's like supposed to be the same thing that Frodo sees when he puts on the ring, right?
Yeah.
That's when she looks like a human. But one, I'm pretty sure that Frodo put on the ring while he was fighting Shelob, and she didn't fucking look like that. But that's neither here nor there.
Did Frodo actually?
I
Did
think
Frodo
he did.
actually
I think he
fight
tried to-
Shelob? I thought it was
Oh, no, well, Shelob
it was Bilbo
Shelob
who was running away from Shelob.
No, it was Frodo who was that was in the third Lord of the
Bilbo
Rings.
never met
not in the
Shelob.
Hobbit.
No, Frodo totally did. Or not? Wait, Frodo didn't.
Yeah, no.
Bilbo did.
Frodo
No,
fought
Frodo-
Shelob because Sam saved him from Shelob.
Yeah, Frodo was led into Shelob by Gollum, who wanted Shelob to eat Frodo.
Oh, okay. I forget like the exact plot, but I definitely
Yeah,
know that Shelob was also
In the
Bilbo
Hobbit movie.
also
No,
used.
those were different spiders.
different
That was
spiders.
Were they?
completely different spiders. Absolutely, yeah.
I
those
was
were-
really.
Okay, here's the thing.
I was really under the
Those
impression
were
those
just
were the
like
same
the
spiders.
spiders that came to Mirkwood back, like when Mirkwood was turning into Mirkwood from. Greenwood.
I was under the impression that they just never the spider just never said it was Shelob, but it was the same
No,
spider.
there was those were completely different spiders.
Whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
either way, like spiders can talk in Lord of the Rings. They don't in the movies, but they can talk.
They did
So-
talk in The Hobbit in the
Did they talk in The
Rings
Hobbit?
world
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, so like there's no
Everything
reason
fucking
to
talks
make
in
her a
Lord
hot
of the
chick.
Rings.
No reason whatsoever. They could have just had a giant talking spider. She could have said all the same things and it still would have been a little weird because it's like, does Shelob really have these magical powers? Can she really trap a ring wraith in a spirit web? Can
Probably
she
can't.
really...
She probably could do all of those things.
Well, here's the thing. Shelob is like Ungoliant, who is the big, super mega spider that's literally as big as a city. Is like her strongest daughter, and at one point Ungoliant almost killed Morgoth, which is Satan.
So yeah, then maybe Shelob could do all these things. Maybe
Yeah, who
Shelob
knows,
could
maybe.
give you visions. Maybe
Yeah.
she
But
could
when they make
trap a
her-
ring wraith.
But when they make her just look like a hot chick, it's like, what are you even doing?
Yeah,
What
it's
was
like
the
she's
purpose
some
of
weird
this?
sorceress. Yeah, why even make it Shelob? Why not just make it some crazy sorceress that's living in Mordor? Like,
It's
what's
like
the
they
point?
wanted. It's like they wanted to name drop Shelob, but also have a hot chick. Like that was their plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there is another one that is, now this one's a little funnier and it's a little less egregious because it is doing exactly what I said. It's just like somebody that nobody's ever heard of. There's a spirit who is supposed to be the spirit of all of nature called Karnan. And she manifests herself in like the form of different beasts, and sometimes she'll help you by like, sometimes she'll manifest herself as a drake, and then you can ride around on a drake that is Karnan, so it's a stronger drake, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do get to see her like what she really looks like at one point. She's living like at the base of a tree, and she's straight up an ent. So the funniest thing, I'm like, there she is. It's the last of the Ent wives. That's where she was hiding.
That was before the Ents died.
Really? Shadow of War takes place before the Ents died?
Shadow of War takes place between, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Right, but the Ent wives, I don't.
No, and the Ent wives die in, or don't the Ents die like
No, the Ents do, but
during
they,
the Fellowship of the not the
Yeah,
book, but
the Ents
during
do.
the Ents do, but
Well,
like
actually,
they.
the Ents don't ever
There's like
die,
some
but...
throwaway joke. They're like, the Ent wives are all gone, and we don't know where they are. The Ent wives are all gone, and
Yeah,
like
I'm
nobody knows
sorry,
where they
how
went.
did they die?
I don't know.
Lost them, and now we cannot find them.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing.
So it was basically a throwaway joke that he wrote in the book, and he never.
Yeah, someone straight up asked Tolkien, like legitimately sent a letter to Tolkien asking, so whatever did happen to the Entwives? And his response was, oh, fuck,
I forgot to say it.
I forgot to write
anything
that.
about it.
I don't actually,
So I think it would be funny if like this spirit of nature that helps you out a lot is like the last of the Entwives. It's like that's not confirmed or anything. That's just
oh yeah.
some funny thing. But like that doesn't even seem as bad as just making Shelob into a hot chick, because it's like you would think that at some point they would mention the spirit that guards all of nature in Lord of the Rings.
Not necessarily, but
Well,
like
not only that, but there are different gods and sort of like demigods, like
So it's
Gandalf
like,
and
even
for
if
instance.
even if she was never mentioned, sure, she could exist, right?
I just feel
So it's
like they didn't have a good enough justification for why she would look like that.
Right.
Ultimately,
No justification.
I would have been okay had they done that, but it really like they had some sort of like I don't mind that she's a hot chick necessarily. I mind that she's a hot chick for no reason.
No reason.
Whereas like if it was something like Shelob used some power to turn into a human avatar so that she could blend in with people or something, like I don't know, as an example, then maybe at least there would be a plot justification for why she would do that. But he's looking at the giant spider anyway. It's not like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's not like they didn't feel like modeling the giant spider.
And this guy is like a super murderer, so like I don't think he cares.
Every time you go to see Shelob, it's like, Shelob, where are you? And then the giant spider crawls out slowly, and then she makes a noise, and he turns around and he's looking at the hot chick. So like, it's not
You know what would have been fucking
It would have
great?
been a lot cooler if you just walked up and the spider started talking to you. That'd be cooler.
Yeah, exactly. You just walk up, you got like this fucking ring
And
thing,
like
and,
maybe people
and
who
the
don't
giant
know enough.
spider just comes down. I want to eat that fucking ring. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Ah, it's stolen.
Yeah, exactly. She wanted the ring, and then like I don't know, it was weird. She wanted the ring. That's why she was holding the wraith hostage, and the wraith was like pissed at you the whole time until you got the ring back, and then you got the ring back, and he's like, "All right, we can do whatever you want now, man."
At the same time, this whole thing doesn't bother me that much, really, because, like, I already heard that they were throwing lore out the window for this one.
Yeah. At one point,
Like-
there's a series of quests in the game where you fight a Balrog with Karnan, and it's like, I'm like, how are we doing this? Balrogs are fucking invincible. Gandalf had to kill himself to beat one, and then I fought that like Karnan got like killed temporarily because she just has to reform, and like I had to fight the Balrog for like 30 seconds by myself, and in that 30-second period I died 6 times, and I was like, okay, now this seems more legit.
Is dying less permanent in that game?
No, well, I died, and because I was in the middle of a story mission I had to restart the story.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
No, but like you didn't die in story.
Yeah.
You were just able to defeat it in story.
yeah, I was able, as far as the story goes, I was able to defeat it, but only because the spirit of nature was basically doing it. Like, I played Rock'em Sock'em Robots while riding on her back.
I don't know. I just feel like that. Yeah, that's. I feel like they threw caution to the wind, and I'm okay with that. I just thought that the Shelob thing was a very odd choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is the only thing that really bothers me that much. You know.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we?
As far as Shadow of War goes, no, not really. But I do want to give a quick shout out to XCOM 2 because that game pisses me off more than any game ever. Actually, it doesn't. It doesn't piss me off that. Pisses Thel off more than any game.
Does XCOM 2 piss you off slightly less than XCOM 1?
No.
Because I've heard for some people, XCOM 2 pisses you off less than XCOM 1 because in XCOM 2 you have more control over some of the stuff that happens.
I was getting like really extraordinarily angry at XCOM 2 until I just said to myself, all right, I'm going to back up and I'm going to like say, fuck it, I don't care. This game is bullshitting me, so I'm going to bullshit the game. And when I get like a really bad turn, I just reload a couple turns back. And after I started doing that, I had a lot more fun with it. Because it's not really how I like to play games. I like to play games where, like, the consequences matter. But this game, like, sometimes the consequences are just you got unlucky. So, reloading a couple turns back doesn't... Like, once I accepted that, it was like, alright, I'm not as pissed. My best unit died and all 3 of my dudes panicked, so I have to basically skip a turn. I'm just gonna reload. Instead of my best guy died and all 3 of my units panicked, this mission is over and I've lost the game and I have to restart the whole game from scratch. Because that's kind of the choice you make. You either have to reload the mission, or sometimes you can get fucked so bad that in a mission that you have to start the game over in XCOM 2. Like, you have to. There's
well, I haven't played XCOM 2, but if it's anything like XCOM 1, as long as you're, like, taking a mixture of characters.
But it's not.
It's not.
Because you have to like collect supplies that you can only get from missions to hire new people to go on those missions to get supplies to hire people. So if you are out of supplies and don't have 4 soldiers, you literally cannot play the game.
Yeah.
So
well, you can solo stuff, but
yeah, but that soldier's gonna die.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, save scumming never sits well with me, though.
Yeah, it doesn't really sit well with me either, but I would rather lose 15 minutes of progress by restarting the mission than the last 20 hours of progress that I've put into this current run of the game. So, that's I think that's pretty much all I've played these last couple of weeks. Most of what I've played, anyway. It's been a long time on Middle Earth. Do you have
I
anything you wanna-
played more Nier Automata. Want to talk about this?
Go
Okay.
on.
I don't know that
Well,
we
that
know we want
depends.
to talk about this.
That depends. Did you get to 9S's playthrough yet?
Oh.
I don't think you'll have anything new to say.
Yeah.
I think it will
Well,
just be the same
well,
thing
no,
we
because
talked
I
about.
haven't said anything on the podcast. A lot of what we've
Is
talked
that
about
really?
Nier has all been
Yeah.
off the podcast. So
Yeah.
I think I should talk about Nier because I haven't
Okay.
talked about Nier to any great length on the podcast. So
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I think the more that I play Nier, the more I dislike it. I guess I don't really have that much to say about it. I just feel like there are a lot of systems that just let you down in the game.
Mhm.
I think the plug-in ship system is cool. That's like the only thing that it has going for it. Because there is a decent amount of weapon variety, but they like very much so intentionally limit you
Mhm.
so that you are punished for trying multiple weapons. So there's no reason to ever take more than like one or like the two weapons that you use and only ever use them ever.
Right.
Maybe it changes in subsequent playthroughs. I've not finished the first playthrough yet. 14 hours into the game. But yeah, I don't know. Some of the combos just don't work most of the time. Not even like some of the time they don't work, like most of the time they don't work. In particular, the pop-up attack that you get when countering with the one-handed sword almost never pops anything up.
Right. It's only the
It
tiny
pisses
enemies,
me
and
off.
By that point,
That
they're dead.
like that weapon annoyed me so much that I started using the spear because it does a spin attack instead.
Right.
Because
With
I don't
that
mind the
weapon-
heavy. I don't mind the heavy on the sword, but the like combo for the sword is just garbage.
See, with
Go ahead.
with the pop-up weapon, like if you don't pop an enemy up, you pretty much just have to press the heavy attack to go straight back down.
But you waste
and
time.
It does a lot of damage.
No, it doesn't.
The
It
heavy
wastes
attack
a lot
back
of time.
down.
No, it does. Okay,
Yeah, the heavy attack
it
back
does
down
a lot of
of
damage. It does a lot of damage, but it does not do a lot of DPS. That one
Right.
attack does damage, but you're stuck in the air for so long that you lost a lot of damage.
You bring
Yeah.
a guy up with you, basically.
No,
kill
but you
him.
never
but
bring.
what
I
I'm saying
never
is
bring
you
people
bring-
up when I pop people up. Like never.
Really? How? I
It
always did.
It
Almost
constantly
every
fails.
time.
It constantly
No,
fails
no,
for me.
I'm with Saine on this one. The only enemies that ever pop up into the air are the tiny dudes, and by the time that you've countered one of them, they're already dead.
Really?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
that's the
never
problem
been
I
can
able to-
never
had in the
combo
game.
people.
I could pop everyone up in the air. Like, that's how I did it.
I'm never. I don't know if I'm just. Maybe it's because I dodged to the left and you dodged forward or something. Like I don't know.
Do you-
I
hang on,
never
do you-
pop
are you
things up.
Are you actually hitting the thing with the knock-up attack?
No, because it never
yeah.
hits them. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Oh.
see, I hit them.
And even when I hit them, it doesn't pop them up half the time.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. I mean, I do. I mean, obviously, when I'm not hitting them, I understand. But when
Right.
I do hit them, it doesn't do it most of the time for me
I
either.
think though that they have to be damaged enough to be popped up into the air or like stumbling. So you have to like hit, dodge, hit, and then there's like only when they're stumbling.
I
do they go up in
dodge
the air. I don't
Basically every attack.
know. Mhm.
So I never get hit in Nier
Well,
like
well,
ever.
here's the thing.
Hardly.
Well, here's the thing. Even then, I felt like I was damaging like all of the enemies enough that I could knock one up. Like with one attack, I'd hit like all of them. They'd get in like such a close cluster that you'd be able to hit all of them.
That's
with,
like never my
you know,
experience.
Really?
No.
Enemies never really clustered up for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
I
you
don't
like
know.
run them
I
around
mean,
in a circle?
if
Well, here's the
they
thing. and
do,
then
but I feel
dodge.
like the one-handed sword, I don't feel like hits everything around me. So
Like I think I what was it? It was like the 3 attack with the small sword does like a spin where you send it out. I could be remembering this wrong.
no, it does, but it shoots it forward. It
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it spins forward.
Well, here's the thing. I always
So-
had them sort of at least a little bit clustered in front of me, or if I wasn't in front of them, I would just turn my character to where like they were most clustered up. send it out and hit at least 3 of them.
Weird.
I don't know. Well, whatever the case is, like, it pisses me off. Like, I cannot use the one-handed sword in my main hand because it actually pisses me off that I'm constantly jumping up. Because if you miss with that attack, that combo attack, you don't go into the air.
Right.
You only go into the air if you hit him. So I hit him, but he didn't go into the air with me, and then I'm wasting time in the air. That's how I feel every time.
Right.
It pisses me off.
And
So
you can also jump up, like, just physically jump up, like, do the double jump and then attack like that?
Oh yeah, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that's not. That's.
I'm not talking
Oh.
about jump attacks. I'm talking about the counter attack with the one-handed sword, which pops people up.
When you get a perfect dodge where it like makes you go all wiggly, and then do an attack with the one-handed sword, she'll like dash upwards into the air and try to bring an enemy with her. But
often an
most of
enemy
the-
doesn't come with her, and she's just attacking nothing in the air. So then you
And
could
you can also
immediately
do that
down
with-
slam, but that wastes time.
Well, here's the
Right.
thing. You can also bring up an enemy in the air with just, like, a regular combo, not even just a counter.
how?
I mean,
it's-
yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like,
That's what he's saying is it's supposed to bring them into the air and it doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't matter how
I
else you can
combo
get them into
a
the
lot
air.
in that game,
And
I
I agree with
never
that
bring people
happens-
up.
That happens
And-
to me all the time.
And it
but I
pisses me
didn't-
off because
I did
both of both halves of that lock you into an animation that wastes time.
Right.
So like jumping into the air locks you into an animation until you're up in the air at like the peak. And then down slamming also locks you into the animation, which also like you have to wait until she's done staggering or whatever from hitting the ground. Like
Right.
whereas
See, like I didn't find it that bad, but
I found it incredibly frustrating because I felt like anytime that happened, I was wasting time. Things were
Right.
dying slower. And
Like,
since
I
I
agree that
comboed
it
so
happens.
much, or since I countered so much, I was wasting all of this time. That's why I switched to the spear, because the spear attack, the combo attack, is a large swipe all around you.
mhm,
And I just think that's so much better. But it's like,
right.
man, I had to get to the machine village before I could even get a spear.
Right.
And then later on I found a better one, but it's just, man, I don't know, like the combat feels like it doesn't work half the time. And I feel like I'm punished for trying multiple weapons. And I don't know, it's just, and at least at the point that I'm at in 2B's playthrough, it feels like her bullets do no damage.
Yeah.
So
I'll give
there's
you
like
that. The
no
bullets
reason
don't do
to
anything.
ever use that.
Yeah.
Hardly. Well, I mean that like the one that shoots missiles is a little bit better because
Yeah.
if you are only targeting a couple of people, it does more damage. Like it does do pretty well. The only time I ever used like the normal bullets is when the those worm guys are there,
Yeah.
Mhm,
which I try not to even fight those guys. I hate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Like, and maybe it's because I played this more as an open world game and less as a spectacle fighter. I just avoided all of like almost a lot of the open world stuff and only.
I
fought
do
stuff
too.
across the
I
world.
avoid fighting things too because I hate it.
Okay.
I hate the combat. Like I
fight the things
actually
that I-
hate the combat.
I fight
Okay.
the thing. I only fought the things that I had to.
I
thought
fight
the
the
combat-
thing. I fight
I didn't-
everything the first time, usually.
I didn't hate the combat like at all, but I was like, my thoughts on it is if I wanted to play a spectacle fighter, I would not be playing Nier. I would play Metal Gear Rising. I would play Bayonetta. I would just play Devil May Cry 4 again, but not Nier. I wanted to play Nier because it was like as a whole.
Literally, the only thing that Nier has going for it is its writing. Literally, that's it.
Well-
Its open world is kind of bad, and it's boring
its music
looking.
is incredible. The writing is incredible.
Okay,
the music is
I
incredible. The fact that
disagree on the music, but that's a personal taste thing. So
Uh,
I
the
agree
fact
with
that
you
it
that
moves in between different genres, like while still
The-
retaining
I
No,
really
but
like the
again-
genre
is
blending,
interesting.
too.
again,
really cool.
I am interested in the genre blending, but I feel like it does a bad job of it a lot of the time anyway. Like the side scrolling, the like beat 'em up perspective or whatever in particular is especially bad because the camera because of how the camera rotates, a lot of times you aren't hitting things that are near you.
I think you just need to play more of the story. I think the side quests are really killing the game for you because the genre blending that we're talking about comes in the story, not in the side quests.
I mean,
not in like moving to like the factory. I know what you're talking about, the factory area that has the side scroller part. Like that's shitty. That's barely even genre blending.
I don't know. I'll play more of it because I know that like with the hacking and stuff with 9S it's a little bit better or whatever, but even that it's like that just feels like a mini game. That doesn't, I don't know. Like I haven't played it yet, but it just sounds like that just sounds like a mini game.
It's a mini game in most of the fights, but like because it's an established game, there are entire boss fights that are just that whole game,
Well, and not only just boss fights, there are like story sections that are like that too.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But again, I still think that really for me, the writing is literally all it has going for it because the combat is not fun. The world is not interesting to look at. I don't like the music, but I could see why people do. But I don't care about the music. Nothing is memorable except for the parts I don't like. So, well, I guess I like the amusement park theme. That's all right. So I don't know. Like it feels like, man, I don't feel like I should have played 14 hours to get to something that I like.
And you don't even know if you're going to.
I feel like from everything I've heard about it, I think that I probably will end up liking it in the end. It just feels like, man, I feel like the game is actively making me want to not play it. and I don't think I've played this much of a game that I felt that way about a game ever.
I think that it's like the same thing you tell me about video games. You're just gonna have to skip the side quests. They are not fun.
But they're meaningful. They're meaningful in a different way than the flags in Assassin's Creed. Like you don't get anything out of getting the flags in Assassin's Creed. But the reason why I'm interested in the side quests, even though I hate doing them, is the actual like rewards for doing the side quests is interesting because you get to hear about more of the story in the world. Like that's what I like about it. I just don't like actually playing it. Like one of the side quests I complain about the most is the one where you have to like escort the girl through the sand or whatever for this girl robot. I thought that was interesting because she was like like relatively interesting character. I just felt like what you were doing to get that was awful. I don't know.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure that you are going to like it as you continue playing through it. Well, just purely because like when me and Dalsson started playing it, like immediately we were enthralled with it. So I don't know. If you're not immediately, you might just not like it.
But I don't know. I don't think that my problem with Nier is not that I'm getting bored with it. Because so I played Enslaved: A Journey to the West, which is a spectacle fighter with a really good story.
Right.
The reason I fell off of that game for a while, and later I came back and finished it, but I fell off that game because it was very repetitive, which a lot of spectacle fighters kind of are to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about, like, I'm not the person who tries to get perfect combos and do super well with the combos. I just kind of like finding a combo I enjoy doing and then just kind of doing that a lot.
Right.
But I thought that the combat wasn't actively bad. I felt like it was, tolerable but repetitive. Whereas this game, I often feel like the combat is just bad. Maybe that's just that one example, but I hate that it never pops things up. It pisses me off. I don't know.
Aerial combat is one of the like staples of spectacle fighters. It's like one of the most important things, and I agree that attack never seemed to pop things up. I still used the sword because I liked that weapon, like the other combos on it. And what I did was when I dodged, I just used a heavy attack afterwards instead every time. I agree.
But I think the
that movie
benefit of
never
having the
felt like a
spear
combat.
over the sword is that you
The
still
wide
get the
slash.
heavy attack of the one-handed sword, which throws the blade forward, which I do like because
Right.
that is an effective thing. So if you use the spear, you throw the blade with the heavy attack, and then you use the spear to combo off of it. So it's like
See,
you.
so
And
9S is like this one
part of my
just
issue is
like,
this game is just so fucking balls easy that I kill everything without even breaking a sweat or even trying. Like,
right.
and maybe I just
Right.
need to set the difficulty up because I'm playing on normal. Maybe I need to play it on hard. I don't know. But I feel like all it'll do is have enemies have bigger health bars and make my attacks do less damage. I feel like that's probably all it does.
I think so, yeah.
And I take more damage too, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I want to just power through it because while I would not have an issue with the story if I probably would be enthralled with the story if I didn't like or if I enjoyed the combat more. I feel like that I'm just being asked to work so much more for something I don't. I don't know. It feels like because I'm putting in so much work for very minimal payoff. Because early in the game, at least, like a lot of the side quests is like, here is a nugget of an interesting part of this world. Here's another small piece of why this world is interesting. And I feel like I had to work a lot to get a very small piece of the puzzle. I don't know. And I don't want to just shit on this game because I like it and I understand why everybody likes it. And I understand that people just think that the fighting is like okay, right? And like it's not actively bad like I think it is. But I just I really want to like it and it's making it really hard for me to like it.
I get that because I've been there with games like I really want to like a game and as a result of me wanting to like it so much I get more frustrated.
You know what is probably a
like.
perfect comparison is Cuphead for you.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Because it's not that like
Cuphead is like
you like a lot of the stuff about the game and everything is interesting and you want to keep going so you can see more stuff in Cuphead, but actually playing it is not very fun to you because it's kind of frustrating.
It was very frustrating. Yeah. Even the game mechanics were fun. I enjoyed doing them, but it was so frustrating for me to try to get through it that I eventually gave up. And like the only reason it got so frustrating was because I liked it so much. Like if I were like playing Contra, I'd just be like, this game is too hard. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But
there's so much that I want to like about Nier. It's just the stuff that I don't like about Nier is like making it more frustrating because I have to work harder to get to the stuff that I want. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking the opposite. Maybe I should set it to easy so that everybody has smaller health bars. I don't know.
As far as difficulty goes, I do think you'll be more challenged in 9S's playthrough. Not immediately.
Boy, I sure hope so.
Not immediately, but in 9S's playthrough, you're basically playing the same game as the.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Is 9S's playthrough?
But there are different.
Is the hacking minigame a twin stick shooter?
Yes.
Yes. Maybe I'd like that better because I'm worse at those.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think you'll probably.
But there were also like
third playthrough too.
There were also like new encounters and stuff in 9S's playthrough. Like you'll be running through the desert and you're like, holy shit, that guy's made of gold, and then like he's an actual hard enemy to fight.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I remember those guys.
Yeah. So it's not just a new perspective on the exact same thing. There's also new content.
No, I understand that, but it's from the sounds of it, it's so similar. Yeah, maybe the twin stick shooter stuff will make it better for me. But...
Maybe you should just go the rest of the way through 2B's playthrough and then get to 9S's and then do the side quests in his. You can't do all of them.
I've already done all of them.
Oh.
I've done all the side quests that I can. I think there's probably gonna I'm at the point in time now where all I have to do is go forward and do the story mission. Like that. So I've gotten all of the bullshit out of the way.
Have you done the ocean part yet?
No, that is the next part.
That's the point in the game where I was like, the genre blending in this game is so phenomenal. That was like when I actually like.
I think
really
part of it though
realized
is
it.
just like at this point I don't know how it could win me back over because I've heard I don't know, if I went into Nier not knowing anything about Nier, then maybe I would
Mhm.
like it, but I've heard so much about Nier now at this point that it's not going to
Like
be that surprising to me.
You know what you think you're gonna like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to go into it and be like, "Oh, this is a surprise because this is like they just suddenly made this a twin stick shooter during this specific part." It like I already know that's coming, you know? And I actually know some like end game stuff even because oops, you know, I consume so much video game media that I can't not know stuff that happens in your late game.
Right.
So, which is probably just my own fault, but like, it's so easy to spoil things in Nier. Talking about Nier, like that's part of the reason why I'm only talking about like mechanic parts,
Right.
because like that's. I could say the story is really good, but all the mechanic parts is what holds it back for me. So I don't know, at least so far.
Yeah. Exactly. I get you. I understand. I just.
Yeah. So well, I actually talked way longer about Nier than I kind of wanted to. But while I was talking about it, I was getting more frustrated because I was remembering the stuff that annoyed me about Nier.
You just said the word Cuphead and it made me a little mad, so I get that too.
Whereas Cuphead, I like, I never felt frustrated while playing Cuphead. Does that sound weird? Like, I died, but I felt like that was so expected that it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I expected to die a lot, but once I spent 2 hours on one single level that was not a boss, that was when I started getting frustrated.
See, for me, if I ever got to the point where I felt like I was not making any progress, I just switched to a different boss.
Yeah, that was.
But I had one boss in one level, and neither of them I could beat. So.
Oh, well,
that was one. Of the
I mean, I would just bang my head. I did. There were a couple that I did just bang my head against the wall until I eventually beat them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like that I did with Cuphead, which was like the exact opposite of what I shouldn't have done, which I felt like made me go through the game slower. Is that I didn't like switch bosses when I got frustrated. It was more just I switched bosses whenever I felt like it, which was like constantly. All right, I tried this one like 3 times. Let's go over. Let's give the other one a try. It's just.
I think that's a decent way to do it, though.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a bad way to do it.
Yeah.
What's funny is that, like, I think that Grim Matchstick, which is the one that everybody bitches about.
My favorite boss. I love that boss so much.
I know. Everybody bitches about how hard Grim Matchstick is, and I think he was like, aside from some of the early like level 1 bosses, he was like the easiest boss on Island 2 for me. It was
He was not the easiest boss. Actually, that was one of the first bosses that I felt like was a real challenge. That was more than just like learning
way more trouble
patterns.
With the clown guy.
I had more trouble with the clown guy, but I also did not find his segments as interesting.
The clown guy for me was easy.
The reason why I like Grim Matchstick so much, in addition to just the character being funny, the character was funny to me. Like I would read it tsundere little message and I would just laugh. So it kind of pulled a lot of frustration out.
Yeah,
but he's just like, hey, I'm sorry, you're kind of trying to kill me.
And it was hard to tell if he was like stuttering or if he was like nervous. You know what I mean? I don't know. So it was just really, it was really cute. I really liked Grim Matchstick. But I think what I loved about Grim Matchstick's fight was all of the different phases were so different from each other and so different from other things in the game. Even.
The reason I think
without being a frustrating mechanic, because the thing that I hate about the clown guy is the train part is really annoying to do that part. I hate that part.
I hated that. Like, I literally, the only way I beat him was by getting lucky, because at that segment there are spots where if you're standing there when that segment starts, you cannot escape without taking a hit. It's not like reacting to it in time. If you're standing there and that segment has started, you already are going to take a hit and you're screwed. So that's what was frustrating.
Yeah, but I just started not being in that spot.
Yeah, that's what I had to wind up doing, but but even then, it was still tricky.
Yeah,
So
for
I don't
sure.
know. Yeah,
I didn't like that boss, and I didn't like his design.
yeah.
It came off as like a mixture between a clown, like a ugly clown, and Squidward. So I don't know. I just actively didn't like him because it reminded me of Squidward and a clown and an ugly clown at the same time.
Yeah.
No, but Cuphead, easily
yeah,
one of my favorite games.
So anyway, the thing that Saine thought about Nier was Cuphead.
The thing I thought about Nier was Dalson's what he thought about Cuphead. Was basically what's happening.
Really, really want to like it, but it's getting too frustrating.
Yeah.
I will still probably power through more of Nier because I think in a lot of ways it's too influential of a game not to play through.
Yeah.
So I
literally saved Platinum from death.
Yeah, but that was I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing, but
yeah.
I think that the reason why it had a lot to do with Platinum's poor choices and that being a better success than they were expecting. I think that's I think they were just not expecting what had happened.
Well, yeah, not only that, but Yoko Taro wasn't even expecting this game to be successful because his previous games haven't been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear Yoko Taro might be put in charge of the next Final Fantasy?
Oh my god! Yes!
It's just weird to me. Anyway.
Yoko Taro and Hideo Kojima should kiss and then make a game.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss some more.
So I think that we should just keep talking about all of our favorite games this year.
Yeah.
But first, let me talk about a movie I didn't like.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess I didn't not like it, but
Star Wars: The Last Jedi was fucking.
It's fucking trash. I hated Luke. Anyway, go on.
So, Netflix put out this direct-to-Netflix movie called Bright.
Oh yeah,
starring Will Smith.
I still haven't seen this. I actually do want to see it
no.
because I heard it was bad. I haven't watched enough bad movies this year.
So it's
like
not
one.
bad. That's almost
already
the problem
watched
with
one bad movie this year.
I watched
the problem with Bright is almost that it's not bad. It's not like not bad enough. It's just mediocre.
Yeah, it falls into that horrible category of, okay, well, this isn't fun to watch.
So I think that the premise and some of the treatment on it is interesting. And here's the thing. You people probably already have Netflix. You might as well watch it. It's 2 hours. It's not gonna kill you. It's decent enough to watch it for free, right?
Yeah.
I would not say you should subscribe to Netflix to watch this.
Oh, no.
If this were in theaters, I would probably say it's probably not worth your money, but it's probably worth your time unless you value your time more than your money, which I guess then maybe watch it. But it's good and it's interesting enough.
Time is money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting enough. It's almost like the world building is more interesting than the plot, and the world building fumbles in places. I thought so. It's like the draw of the thing isn't perfect, and the thing that wraps up the draw to it isn't great either.
Yeah. But here's the thing. As far as the draw to this movie, if you don't know what Bright is,
I should talk about the premise.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
So the premise of the movie is it is a world in which magical creatures have always coexisted with humans.
It's this world that we live in.
Yeah, so it is like the modern world, except there have always been elves and orcs and fairies in it.
Orcs.
And one of the major things is something called a bright. A bright is a person who can use magic wands without exploding. Because if you're not a bright, if you're not someone who is able to use magic, then you just die. And the movie is about this character.
So it's like an American Dragon Jake Long movie.
Not exactly.
No, well,
it is closer to like Fifth Element, actually, in a weird way. And that, like, the main character in Fifth Element, I forget his name, is like Bruce, the guy who Bruce Willis. What?
Bruce Willis.
What was
his name in the movie is Corbin Dallas.
Okay, Corbin Dallas. Yeah. So he's just like a dude that's there, right? And the important aspect of the movie is the chick who's with him.
Yeah.
Not so much him, other than he's like good at doing things. The like focus of it is her, right?
Yeah.
In the same way, this is like kind of also part of the premise is that the
multipass.
Yeah.
Multipass.
Multipass.
Part of the premise of the movie is that the main character, who's played by Will Smith, has a new partner who is the first orc police officer.
That sounds awesome.
Put in the team as under a diversity initiative.
That sounds awesome.
And it's like it made really like ham-fisted kind of allusions to African Americans. Whereas
I heard about people were like just going,
it was very like it was ham-fisted in how they were trying to do the same thing about like civil rights with like African American people who were looked at as being criminals and stuff, being now the first cops, right? The first black cops or whatever. It was kind of that same parallel. And almost like twisted on its head in a weird way, in that the main character was a black cop, and then also it had this this orc cop, but he had no sympathy whatsoever for his like
weird
his position. Yeah, it was like it was not even a thought to him that people were being racist to him, because he was just being like, straight outwardly racist towards the orc. So it was
that could have been much more interesting if he had teamed up with him, and then he was like, yeah, I get that, I know what you're saying, I feel your struggle. But if like even the
straight up even like
if everyone was just being racist towards
consistently throughout the movie, he was talking about how A, he didn't want him to be his partner, B, he didn't like him, 3, he was a bad partner. like even at the end of the movie, he's like, no, I still don't really like you.
Question, Saine, I have to ask, how does this movie fare up, in your opinion, against the director's previous work, most recent, Suicide Squad?
Oh, God. You're kidding, right?
No.
Writing-wise?
Anything-wise.
Right? Well, yeah, I was gonna just compare them as a whole. Writing-wise,
I
would say Bright is a little bit better, if ham-fisted, than Suicide Squad. Because I think Suicide Squad had the problem of having too many characters, which he was not able to fix. Whereas this, well, not that he couldn't have fixed it, it's just that he didn't fix it, right? And with this movie, it was not poorly written per se. I mean, it kind of was, depending on how you want to look at it. The story made sense, and it was just like, it was a thing. They did some stuff. It wasn't a
fucking horrible
Yeah,
mess.
it was not. It wasn't garbage.
The writing was just bad.
It was just the main character had no character development hardly at all. It did a little bit, but not very much. And he was pretty consistently throughout the movie an irredeemable asshole.
Right.
And for as much as they were trying to talk about how like this was the first orc officer and he had his own issues and stuff, he was also kind of a whiny person who was bad at his job. Ultimately, the guy who was an asshole was right. The guy was an awful police officer.
So what you're saying is this is a much, much, much worse Zootopia.
Right, exactly. It was like, at least in Zootopia, Judy Hopps was super competent.
I don't think there's any at least to Zootopia. There's no bottom line in Zootopia.
But no, I mean, you could make the
argument.
You could make the argument in Zootopia that it was ham-fisted. A lot of people have said that it was ham-fisted, even though I did not think so.
Yeah, people were like, this is ham-fisted. Meanwhile, Bright's over here just chugging fucking...
Bright is like super ham-fisted.
Hey guys, watch me whip out my dick!
I think that Zootopia was more nuanced than people gave it credit for, whereas Bright was pretty straightforwardly
Bright just immediately showed you how nuanced Zootopia was.
The problem was, like, Bright... Part of the problem for me is, like, if the orc top character, which I don't remember either of their names, but that's partly me, because I'm just bad with names anyway, but, like, they did not invest me enough to even care about what their names were. Right. But the orc guy, he, if he was a competent police officer and really good at his job, and, like, sure, he was a rookie and he had less experience, but he was, like, even like halfway decent at what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Then it would have created more, like, it would have made it a reason for that guy to be an asshole, right? It would have just been like he was being an asshole just because he was racist, right? Whereas, like, the whole time you're thinking, I hate this guy, but he's fucking right. This guy is a moron.
Yeah.
So
it's like if the point was this guy was being racist and he shouldn't be,
it didn't deliver.
It didn't deliver because the guy was a moron. So it's like, is he being racist, or is the
he was being racist too. He was being racist, and he thought he was a moron. Those were not necessarily connected things. Mm-hmm. He wasn't thinking, this person is an orc, therefore he's garbage at his job. He was thinking, this guy is an orc and I hate that, also he's garbage at his job.
Right, okay.
So, I don't know. And ultimately, like, he does have some character growth, and he does connect with an orc, and he does, like, he is willing to get past it. And surprisingly, despite being super racist, is one of the least racist characters around him.
Jesus.
Which really says something.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And actually, I remember there was a part that I loved in it that was like, he's talking to the commissioner, he's like, man, I have to get this guy out of my car. I cannot work with this guy. And she's just like, no one wants to work with you. You are a person that nobody in the entire station wants to work with. So we're putting this guy on your squad because he's the only one who, like, no one wants to work with him either. So you two are two people that nobody want to work with, and it's perfect. That's kind of like what she was saying.
Wow. That's pretty terrible.
This movie was written by Max Landis, who his last movie was Victor Frankenstein. Y'all remember that?
That was okay. No? I thought that was okay.
Oh, yo, someone does remember that movie. The thing is, I kind of hate Max Landis on principle, just because of the fact that he is the quintessential nepotism
I
man.
think for him, nothing he does is good.
Yeah,
it's just at best okay, right?
And the thing is, the only reason he's even writing in Hollywood at all is because he's John Landis's son. John Landis is the guy who wrote, like, the Blues Brothers. And did he work on Ghostbusters? I don't think so. The thing is, John Landis was a great writer who wrote a ton of great movies in the 80s. This guy's the son. He's only in this shit because he's the son, and he's bad at this shit.
Yeah. So, like...
So I hate him on principle. Also, he's a bad writer, so fuck him.
Yeah. Man. Bright is not a terrible movie. Like, it is fun enough. Like, it's interesting to see the world that they present, even if the story isn't written very well.
Well, here's the thing. When I heard about this movie, immediately hearing about this world, not even just with, like, all the, racism stuff that's apparently in the world. When I just heard this story, I just thought, this is legitimately the fucking joke people make when they hear urban fantasy. This is, like, the most literal possible take you could do on this.
Yeah, but that's cool in a weird way. It's kind of like Shadowrun, except Shadowrun also has cyberpunk in it.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like Shadowrun's like, it's urban fantasy, but it's like at least interesting. This is just like, it's now, but also there's orcs and elves and fairies and stuff.
But I think you could do that in a really interesting way.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that you couldn't, but yeah, they don't think that they did, yeah.
So, and that was like, I feel like every time, I think the reason why people shit on that is because every time someone wants to do a story like that, they fuck it up. Yeah. Do you remember that Xbox game, Legendary?
I remember of it.
Yeah, you remember of it because it was a bad game, but it had a really super cool premise in that, like, it was in New York City, and suddenly, like, out of nowhere, a bunch of mythological creatures start invading the city. There's like dragons and griffins. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
The griffin
game.
is like is on the box art. Like, it is a really cool concept, but it was like very poorly done. And this thing is very poorly done. And if I think about it, like, I cannot think of an actual urban fantasy, like an actual genre blend.
Shadowrun.
That isn't Shadowrun hasn't been done in like a movie or.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been done in a game, but it was literally Shadowrun. Whereas.
Yeah, like the board game Shadowrun in video game form.
The tabletop / book series, it was just based off that.
So. There are a ton of urban fantasy novels that at least take fantasy concepts and apply it to,
right,
sort of world. Like, it's a huge jump.
No, I know, and
usually
I've read a lot of urban fantasy.
Usually, what they do
is
have it be like a hidden world instead of like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just there.
Like Secret World, actually. Secret World is a really good example of something that was done pretty well. It's a little bit more like Lovecraftian than fantasy per se.
It's still a hidden.
But
it's still like a hidden thing. Like
it is a secret
majority
world.
Of people, the majority of people don't know about this stuff that's going on. They're just like, "Wow, that was weird." Oh well.
I guess the Illuminati will just deal with that for me. The Illuminati's real. No, they're not. They are though. Little did this man
You
know,
can play as the Illuminati.
You can play as the Illuminati. Of course I did, needless to say.
Yeah, so did we. Played together and we all played the Illuminati.
We all played the Illuminati. Oh yeah, right.
We didn't have to. There were two other ones.
No, yeah, but we had to in order to play together.
Oh yeah.
Because they had 3
But really, were you gonna play on any of the other ones? There was Templars.
The Knights Templar sound kind of awesome.
I don't know.
I don't give a shit about the
Knights
dragons.
Templar just have like a phone number you can call.
Play as Nicolas Cage.
But yeah, Bright. It's if you already have Netflix, it's worth sitting down and watching. Not if you're Thel and have a bunch of movies you should be watching that are better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not if you're Dalsson and you value your time more than your money.
Not if you're Dalsson and you haven't fucking watched Blade Runner.
Who?
Anyway. Yeah, Bright, it's okay. Yeah, why don't we take a break and then we'll come back and start talking about just some of our favorite games this year and other games we've been playing that we want to talk about.
Okay. And I'll give my top 10 movie list. I'll be really quick about it.
Okay. Let me just... What time do you want to come back?
15 till.
You want to do 15?
I would say, yeah. I just need a 5-minute break real quick.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm asking 15, because that's...
let's do 10 till, just in case.
Okay.
So how about 5:50?
5:50 is when it would be.
Yeah, 5:50.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
And we're back.
Hello.
For the last hour or so, we're gonna be discussing, stuff.
The year in review of video games and movies, at least,
and anything that we still want to talk about that we didn't get to talk about that we're still playing, like Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh,
I got that game. I never played Super Mario 64, which I know is blasphemy, but it's pretty good. I'm actually really so. The thing I like about Super Mario Odyssey is when you first pick the game up, it's like, oh, I have 2 buttons that do things. I can jump or throw my hat. Those are the things I can do. But and I think that this is probably just because I never played Super Mario 64. But there's a lot of nuanced movement thing that you learn kind of over time. You learn how to play that game just more and more as you go. Well, not necessarily by playing it, because some of them, if they didn't tell me that, I would have never known. But for one thing, and this I know for a fact is like a thing in Super Mario 64. But you know how like you can jump, and then the third jump will be an extra high jump.
The third jump is always higher, just like Night in the Woods.
Yeah, well, Night in the Woods was aping that from Mario, but
Yes.
64 in particular, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, and then like you can run and then jump and then dash, or like you kind of like do a dive bomb thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can wall jump. Like there's all these like little movement abilities that Mario has that isn't super obvious. And it's like the more you play, the more you do with those same like 3 buttons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. I haven't gotten super far in it yet. I only just got it, and I haven't had the time to really sit down with it yet. But I put maybe like 2 or 3 hours into it, and so far it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like.
I don't
really
know.
Need to play it.
I don't know that it will be better than Breath of the Wild for me, because it's very like. It's almost like by the book how exactly that game should have been, but it doesn't like. I don't know. It doesn't really innovate on anything, other than like
the capping mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you can capture things, but that's not like a super. I don't know. That's not an innovative thing. Like, I don't think that anything is necessarily innovative about Super Mario Odyssey. It's just that it's very good and polished and like well put together and well thought out. I don't know. It's very fun.
I had a friend at work telling me that we need to get together and play it. I didn't even realize it was 2-player, but apparently in multiplayer it's easier because one player has complete control over Cappy and one player controls Mario. And
well,
the player that has complete control,
it is either harder or easier depending on who you're playing with. Because if your partner just decides that the hat is not anywhere near you ever, then there's not much you can do about it.
Did you play with somebody who did that?
No, but I heard horror stories. But the funny thing is, like, you can use the hat. Apparently, you can also use the hat while you're already capturing something. So the hat can still do things while you're capturing something, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks decently interesting, but it looks like a very, very much like a I don't want to use this term because it seems really mean, but girlfriend mode. There was I forget what game legitimately called it that. It might have been like Borderlands or something.
It was Borderlands 2, and they called the Necromancer the girlfriend class.
Right.
That was. I'm pretty sure that was just like a.
It was Borderlands 2, and
no. Was that like actual something?
No, it wasn't in the game. No, it was just it's something he said in an interview. I think.
Oh yeah.
That got him in trouble.
Yeah.
But no, it's.
I mean, he was right though. Let's be honest.
It's pretty similar to
ridiculous.
Pretty similar to like Super Mario Galaxy. They had something similar, right? I never played Super Mario Galaxy, but I heard that it was. Oh, this is a piece of news that is just like random that I just thought off the top of my head. So, they are porting some Nintendo games to the NVIDIA Shield? NVIDIA Shield in China only. And one of the games on that list is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Or 1 and 2. So, yeah, that's pretty weird, but it means that they're probably doing a lot of the work for porting those games already in order to make it work on the Shield, because the Shield is only slightly different than the Switch.
Right.
So, like, the chip, the main chip in Switch is like a slightly newer version of chip in the Tegra chip in the NVIDIA Shield. So if that's being done, that means maybe we're not super far away from something like Virtual Console in the next 6 to 8 months, right? Which would give me a lot of opportunity to play a lot of the games that I missed over the years. Like, I would love to go back and play Super Smash Brothers for the Wii, because that had that really cool story mode that I played some of with a friend, but I never owned a Wii. So, like, Super Smash Brothers Wii would be fun. Like, Wind Waker, I know that it was ported to the Wii U, but I have never played that either.
Right.
And the Super Mario Galaxy games, which I'm not huge on Mario, but I think that would be fun to go back to, right? So,
Yeah.
Right.
although right now I have my hands full with Super Mario Odyssey, which I have not, and Nier. Between playing Odyssey and Nier and Battlegrounds with you guys, I have not had time to go play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the only other game I really wanted to talk about. So far, it's really fun. I need to put more time into it, but you can already tell that it's super well polished. So
Yeah, that's fair.
and I think
That's
there's a lot of
exactly
secrets
what
in
to
it.
expect. Ooh, secret.
A lot of secrets in it. Like I heard that in the first level, you can walk off the edge and then you go to this whole other place. And I did that stuff and left, and I never noticed any of that. So after I beat the game, you can go back to all the worlds, and I might do.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Thel? You need to get a Switch, don't you?
Yeah, I've never. I haven't played. I played a little bit of Breath, but I haven't played like any Mario Odyssey. So yeah.
Oh no, I
have
just
no
mean
idea.
like Mario. Are you excited to play Mario Odyssey?
I actually kind of am. I actually am kind of a big fan of the Mario games. They're just really really simple but incredibly well designed platformers and fun to play. Yeah, I am excited to play it.
Because I remember one time we were talking about some of our favorite game series of all time, and you were like, Mario? And I was like, okay.
I probably should have put Doom on that list more, because
Yeah,
I
maybe.
love Doom. Doom is good.
Although the problem with Doom is I was looking for iconography, and I don't think there's any strong iconography in Doom past the word Doom.
Just put a pentagram. Yeah, just put a pentagram there.
Oh, Cacodemon.
A cacker demon, yeah.
Well, Cacodemon would be a little complicated for what I was going for. A pentagram, maybe,
Okay.
but I don't think that screams Doom either. That just
Well,
says
it also
pentagram.
basically any game with satanic imagery is my jam, so
Maybe Doom helm, the Doom guy.
Yeah, maybe
helmet.
Doom Guy helmet.
yeah.
Anyway. Anything else?
As far
I
as
don't know. That's about it.
as far as recent stuff we played, no.
Well, okay. Here's one thing that I will talk about. Really quickly. Me and Dalsson have been watching a lot of the Twilight Zone. I think both of us have seen like some episodes peppered through, and this is the first time we're actually going through it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fucking shit! Yeah, this show deserves all the praise it's gotten in the last 30 fucking years. It's good. It's very good.
I feel like that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Look anywhere and they'll tell you. So
I mean, like,
it's like, man, I watched this super acclaimed series that no one has ever said anything bad about. It's actually really good.
Well, yeah. No, it's just if you haven't, because people are.
It really holds up, too.
It really does. It doesn't. It
like there are things that you can tell are like an aspect of their time.
But even
like,
so,
have you guys watched Black Mirror?
I watched like the first couple of episodes of the first season, which
I
heard
watched
that-
a post
I
on
heard that-
Tumblr that said fake names about it.
I heard that if you watch through a little bit more, it starts to get better, but yeah.
I heard that the first season was the best, and then after that, it just sort of falls off.
Yeah, but I heard the first couple episodes in particular weren't great.
Oh, I got to at least where it starts getting good.
Okay.
Yeah, the like the very first episode especially was just really silly.
So I have a weird thing about like the concept of Black Mirror, right?
Yeah.
The concept of Black Mirror is like how every possible way technology could fuck you up in the future, right?
Oh yeah.
That's essentially the premise of it. It's like bad ends for technology.
Yeah.
Boy, the government peeked at me bullocks through my webcam.
But here's the thing I always think about technology is that it will never be as horrible as the like sci-fi horrors and just sci-fi, like bad negative sci-fi, not like Star Trek sci-fi, but like
like
negative sci-fi.
almost
dystopian, right?
Yeah, horrible dystopian sci-fi.
Yeah,
it's always
horror or dystopian sci-fi, like always is like it will never be that bad, almost never be that bad, right?
Oh yeah.
But I think that it is important as a thing that it's like here is a major pitfall that like we have considered. We should avoid doing that, right? Like Terminator is a good example. Like we are currently doing all sorts of research into machine learning and AI and stuff. But everybody has this in the back of their head that it's like, so we need to make this AI and we need to make it not kill us.
Yeah.
Because we had so much.
Asimov guy had a pretty good idea of some things that we should think about.
Yeah, so like at the Asimov books and the like just basically like all stuff about AI and artificial intelligence and robots and all that sort of thing. Androids. Like even stuff like Blade Runner, like all of these are saying like here are the pitfalls with technology that could potentially be an existential threat, right?
Yeah.
And I think all of that is important to consider because it allows us to avoid the things we don't like and make the things that we do like.
Yeah. And honestly, like with technology, we're living in like, you know, we got this.
We're living in the sci-fi.
Yeah, we're exactly. Yeah. We're living in the sci-fi universe. We've had like this huge upcrop of shit that's happened. That like you know, like had all of that fucking sci-fi in like the 40s to 60s, and we're living all of it. Like,
have you guys heard of Magic Leap?
Magic Leap?
Go on.
Magic Leap is a augmented reality headset that rather than having a screen on your vision, beams like visuals into your retinas directly. So it is not like looking at a two-dimensional object, it is literally projecting images into your eyes.
That sounds like it could be really bad for your retinas.
No, it's not because it's not because it's not any worse than looking at a computer screen, really.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like to that, like to me, I can see like that would be really cool, but I have one very single problem that would probably fuck that up for me. Fuck, what's that supposed to be?
No, because it's actually designed in a way that compensates for that.
Oh, okay.
It compensates for bad vision. But anyway,
how bad vision? Like what we talking?
If you can wear contact lenses, then
okay, all right.
Then it would be fine.
I'm pretty sure.
Now, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Please never take off your glasses again because seeing your face without those on them made me really uncomfortable.
Understandable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, this Magic Leap thing. Basically nobody's actually used it other than investment people
work on it.
because they were like, they've been super secretive about it, but they've gone to like companies and like Intel and just big companies. They went to Google and showed Google, and Google was like, "Holy shit, this is great! This actually is super cool." So they gave them a bunch of money.
It has to be,
But they've been like, kind of
secretive.
Yeah, they haven't released hardly anything.
It's made out of people.
But boy, does it look pretty kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I mean, not super dumb.
I'm sorry,
but dumb enough.
I thought you linked something, so I looked at the webm of somebody playing Genji with fidget spinners, and I was like, wow, that does look dumb.
I was trying to right-click this image, but apparently this image does not exist, so...
Oh, yeah.
It is like one of those images that are like...
in the nebula.
Yeah. Here we go. I'll link it in... the Twitch and directly to you guys.
Okay.
Just...
You should link it in the YouTube comments. Holy shit.
Oh, it's pink.
Oh my god, it looks like you look like a fucking I don't know, like a crazy evil scientist.
Yeah, it is
like
literally like cyberpunk goggles.
Not even cyberpunk, they're like 80s like
no, exactly, like 80s cyberpunk goggles. It looks like these are goggles that would exist in Shadowrun, right? And here's a picture of someone wearing them.
Oh no. Holy shit!
I looks like a mad scientist. Fuck.
No, but I don't know, like... So anyway. Oh yeah, I guess I could, like... Maybe I could, like, put it on a...
Yeah.
I have an overlay for that. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then, yeah, there's someone wearing it.
You know, I was like, it says we're discussing Twilight Zone, but then I thought about it a second, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Well,
yeah.
this is I don't know. I just jumped off of this because this actually has been in the news, like tech news lately. And it's super cool, and it has a lot of like
it
potential
looks like something.
for stuff that would interface with video games, right?
Yeah, it looks like something that would be in the Twilight Zone too. Like we watched one episode where a guy designed a time helmet, and it
Yeah.
was literally a bicycle helmet with sparklers taped onto the side that they lit whenever he was going through time.
In that episode's defense, it
It
was
was-
the comedy
It
episode.
was fucking hilarious. That was like meant to be funny.
Like
but,
literally half the episode was a like a Buster Keaton style silent film.
But anyway, yeah, like so anyway, the whole point of why I was even talking about that was well, I mean, other than the AR thing was cool, but like we have all these pitfalls about like all horrible things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
So and those are important, but I just think a lot of it's overstated a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
It's not
Well, I
it's
mean,
not the obvious things that'll fuck us, it's the subtle things. So
Well yeah, no, that's the thing. I feel like they should probably overstate some of that just so we don't fucking do it. Just so
Yeah.
people are thinking, you know, let's maybe put
what makes
those,
good like
put
that
those
movie about how
laws.
they used robots to control the leather, right? And then
Mhm.
and that movie was not as a disaster movie. It was about how this dude was murdering things by taking control of the weather system.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I was kind of thinking about like I would not see this movie, but I think the premise is really interesting for like a sci-fi like horror
Sort of
example
deal,
of something
yeah.
you should do.
Yeah.
And yeah, like and at the same time we can take things that we do like art like augmented reality goggles, and then Magic Leap is making that because we've had years and years of sci-fi of like this is what we kind of want, right?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Like half of the things that exist like are flat out like half of these normal technologies we take for granted, like a phone you can hold in your hand and
Yeah.
just talk to people
A
over
cell
great
phone,
distances.
yeah, a cell
Fucking
phone,
Star Trek, like
a handheld
ages ago.
computer, more than a cell phone, a handheld computer,
Mhm.
that could access like a wealth of information. Yeah, we got there in a little bit of a different way, right? But
Mhm.
it is science fiction technology. So,
Mhm.
yeah, VR, science fiction technology.
Mhm.
Which it's not great for us on the consumer side of it yet, but now we're doing things like solving problems that we've never had to even think about before.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
like bionic arms and bionic legs and shit. Bionic limbs, we have bionic eyes. I don't think that they've
I
worked on
don't think we
bionic
have
eyes
bionic
enough.
eyes.
They
Yeah,
do. I know that they have eyes that like prosthetic glass eyes that have cameras in them. They don't hook up to your optic nerve, but you can take pictures with them. So that's kind of weird,
Kind of weird, but
yeah.
Hey man, you know, hit me up when we get like a thing I can plug into my left neck, and then 4 little arrival pods float around everywhere. They're just horribly
Ghost in the
creepy.
Shell jack in.
Yeah, give me a
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell jacket.
Yeah,
Turn
I
me
don't
into
know.
Neanderthal,
All day jacking
bitch.
in.
So we've gotten really off base, so why don't we talk about some of our favorite games this year?
Okay, go. Who
So
wants to go
Thel,
first?
you did a video on Hollow Knight. Do you want to reiterate
Yes.
some of that here, or
I mean, well, here's the thing. It's all there. You can go watch the video right now. I tell you, it's like it's up, but apparently you guys already fucking know it has 144 views immediately.
Yeah, and we uploaded it at like
Fuck.
2 a.m. by accident.
Yeah.
well,
that was my
it
fault.
was unlisted at 2 a.m.
No,
and people
he
watched.
scheduled it for 2 a.m.
2
instead of
a.m.
2
Oh,
p.m.
Thel,
I
God,
fuck-
you
yeah.
always do this.
I don't always do this. I sometimes do.
That's what I
but yeah.
said to him, and that's what
Anyway.
he said to me.
Yeah. But yeah, Hollow Knight is an incredibly impressive game. I love it. Love everything about it. And it is my favorite game of the year. It blew me the hell away. I wasn't expecting anything from this game. I'd never heard of it until Saine told me about it. And then the more and more I played of it, the more and more like I was impressed by it. Cause like with even Breath of the Wild, like I'd heard even when they were like first starting, it was like, oh, the dungeons, there are dungeons that are as big as the entire map of Ocarina of Time, and it's like, yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad they're doing this. And then the more they showed it off, the more exciting it looked. It looked really cool, and I wanted to play it, and I played it. And it was great.
I don't
But
think
yeah,
you
this-
put enough time into Zelda.
Oh,
but-
yeah, I haven't. I only
Yeah.
got through the.
I think if
I
you
put enough
spent-
time into Zelda and I beat it.
Yeah.
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 And I've put in more time than you two combined, and I have not.
Oh
beaten
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's the thing. It was incredible. I was surprised. And again, one playthrough took me as long as the entire Automata. All 3 playthroughs. Like there's so much stuff. There's so much to do in that game. It's great.
you cut out for a second, but I assume you said Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Automata.
Yeah.
Mata Mata.
Yeah. That
yeah.
was my favorite game of the year.
But Dalsson, why don't you talk about
Night in the Woods.
Night
Night in the Woods?
I don't even know where to begin with Night in the Woods. See, Thel had it easy. He already wrote a script and made a whole video about this, so he had plenty of time to think about exactly what he might say.
Chop chop.
What? What? Thel got all the time he wanted!
What?
Okay,
Off the cuff. What did you like about?
off the cuff, the thing that affected me so much about Night in the Woods, the reason that it's my personal favorite game of the year and possibly my favorite game that I've ever played, is just because of how connected I was able to feel with the characters. Like I was so personally invested. It wasn't even like you don't even make like your own avatar or anything. Like I could easily like look at it and say that is May Borowski, a different character than me. It's not my avatar or anything. I get to choose some of the things she says, but this is the character that I'm looking at, and I still felt like I was like living her life in her shoes just so perfectly. It's just the way that the game is constructed. There's all these little tiny things in it too, like when you're standing around not doing anything, the world will just kind of subtly sway back and forth like it's living, breathing on its own. And all of the music just sets such good atmosphere. Every single character is like a incredibly well written 3-dimensional character. Even little side characters like Pastor
The
K.
writing? The writing is really good in it because it sounds very authentic to what you say. Like it is more so than any like other media that I've seen. Like it is so well written about like that age in people's lives that that is almost never done correctly.
That's what I like so much about it. Like Thel and I get into this argument all the time where like somebody will say something in a movie and I say, well, that sounds like something a real human being would say. And he says, right, but this isn't a real human being. This is somebody that is written and a professional writer was paid to write that line. And I think sorry, Thel, I think that's bullshit. You want authenticity.
Well, yeah.
I don't
like,
think you
here's the
always
thing,
want
right?
authenticity.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is authentic, but also really well written. Like you need to be able to blend those.
Right.
Like a lot. The thing is, a lot of people like even just me. I'm saying like every 3 goddamn seconds. That's fucking terrible writing. I wouldn't put that on paper. I would.
Or even here's a more nuanced thing.
Yeah.
I will often say, "Man, I'm having a lot of fun,"
Yeah.
or "Man, this thing is making me very pissed off." Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to write that down, then it would be like it would do disservice to a book because it's like this, like saying the character's feelings out loud is like telling, not showing.
Night in the Woods often. May will like have a conversation and then like at the end of the conversation or at the end of the scene she'll be like, that was fun, and then she'll just leave, walk away.
Well,
that was fun.
But that's
She's
different.
literally
That's
just
different,
saying
that's
the words.
that's
How
not-
is it different?
Okay.
Okay, let me
Word for
explain,
word
because-
what you
No,
said.
listen though.
No,
It's not that it's not necessarily that they said it at all, but it's how it's used. And I feel like in Night in the Woods, the way that like when you say, "Oh, you know, I had a lot of fun," that's because that's something you say to people before you fucking leave. It's not just like
it's a conclusion. It's not like.
But she says that to herself.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. She says that to herself, and it's not so much saying like, you know, I'm really pissed off right now. Like declaring how you're feeling.
It's
more...
because okay, I think I know
Right.
how to explain the difference.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm
Oh yeah, go
totally
ahead.
like. So the difference is in a piece of something that's written poorly, they'll say, "I'm angry," and then that will be like the explanation of like what's happening. Whereas in Night in the Woods, they'll do things like maybe she'll say, "I'm fucking pissed off right now," but she's already showing like why she's pissed off, like what's happening, how she's
Yeah.
reacting to it. It's more than just it's not that she says, "Oh, I had a lot of fun," or "I'm pissed off." It is something you would actually say in addition to like them showing you why she feels that way. Whereas in a lot of stuff, a lot of bad writing, it'll just say, "Oh, I'm pissed off," and that'll be like the explanation for the scene.
Be the whole
that will be the set
right
for the tone. Whereas again, yeah, it's just the natural progression of the conversation.
Yeah,
I guess.
Someone will say something, she'll say, "Yeah, I'm pissed off."
In the end, that's what I like so much about Night in the Woods. Like the main number one thing that attracts me so much to the game is that every character feels like they are a real person. Like obviously everything. It's funny to even explain it this way. Saine, I know you didn't beat Night in the Woods, but I think Thel will know why it's funny for me to even explain this way. But it obviously everything in the game is predetermined. It's all just programming, numbers and code, right? Everything's predetermined. But when I play it, I can it's easy to forget that it's pre-programmed. Like this option will lead to this thing. It feels like I don't know what's going to happen. It feels like I'm having a real conversation with the person, even if I only have a couple of things I can say. Like, all of the characters are so three-dimensional that I feel like I'm there with them.
So, this is not a criticism of Night in the Woods, so don't take this as a criticism.
Okay.
Because this is like a legitimate question. If this was a picture book, like with all the same writing in it,
like choose your own adventure type
yeah,
of
if
thing?
this was just like an actual, well, not even like a choose your own adventure, because I think even a lot of your choices just are flavor. They don't act like a lot of times they don't really affect things. Other than like obviously like who do you want to hang out with today, right? Those are the ones that affect things. But things like you know, what you say in front of the mirror before you go out on Halloween or whatever.
Those actually affect what you say later on in the day, but
well, I mean, like to a small extent, yeah.
Like it's small, like the overall story is still the same.
Right. So, like, is this just a case of the writing being so good that if this were in a book, it does being interactive really elevate it for you, or is this just like a thing where the writing is just really good?
I feel like it does. Like,
I would actually completely agree with what Dalsson just said.
It might just be because of me, but like, it's because of what I was saying. Like, even the fact that, like I said, I know that everything's predetermined. Like, the game's already exists, but it doesn't feel that way when I'm interacting with it. It doesn't feel like it's just predetermined.
Well, sure.
Stuff.
Does it? Can you place why though? Like, can you tell why it's different?
I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think I can put it into.
I'm asking both of you, and I'm not like trying to.
Yeah.
This isn't me trying to undercut the game. I'm just like actually curious how it affected
not only even just like in a book. First off, I'm gonna go like for the first level, like things that books can do that other mediums can't, which is the music really helps along, of course.
It does. The music always sets.
Well, I mean, like a lot of it's just like yeah. I don't know. Maybe a movie instead would be a better comparison.
And that's what I was saying. That was like the first level, but the next level really, the interactivity, the actual stuff that you can do, does really help you go into May's shoes, even though she's a completely different character. Like one of the things I talked about with the Hollow Knight video, I really do like the way Hollow Knight tells the story, and it puts you in the character's shoes because you can predict whatever you want on it. Night in the Woods is a game that just gives you the story, but it still definitely does put you in the character's shoes.
So do you just think
even
that
just because you are controlling the character with the controller, even if I would say that's the only reason, I would still say it does make you predictable.
yeah,
The only thing that doesn't quite gel with me is I get pretty invested in a lot of stuff I read and watch.
Yeah.
I'm very empathetic. Like I have trouble not putting myself in someone else's shoes actually. So when I watch a movie, like I can totally relate with a lot of things of something like Finn, right? Like Finn in Star Wars. Like I can totally relate to how he's feeling. And in Night in the Woods in the same way, actually being the one to put in buttons to make her walk around doesn't really change it for me. So I'm maybe it's just me, but I was wondering if there's anything else that necessarily.
Of the fact that you are the one who is making the choices as inconsequential as they are.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Even though I know the choices are inconsequential, at the very least, the first time I played it, I didn't know how inconsequential the choices would be. So every time I made a choice, and then May, I know now because I played it 12 times that May always will fuck things up no matter what you say at certain points. I still felt like there's a point in the game where you get into a fight with your mom.
There are ways that you fuck up less, though.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
I was trying as hard as I could during that scene where I got into a fight with Mom to like just be as nice and like try and back away from the fight and like try and like settle things down. Like one of the options is like, look, I'm sorry, and then the other option is, you know what, F off. And I said, look, I'm sorry, and she still got, and May said, look, I'm sorry, but blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh no, I fucked it up harder.
Yeah.
And so, just at least with the very first experience with the game, it still feels like you are doing everything. You are the one who is choosing everything that happens in the game. That May does.
My only thing is I was very much aware that it was a video game though the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas, so like,
a lot of
I knew that there was a point in time where it's like, okay, I have to choose between hanging out with Greg or hanging out with B, right?
Right.
This is a choice that I know that the other choice is not going. I will lose access to this choice in this point in time, but this choice still exists in another playthrough that I'm not in, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I was entirely like I was very well aware of that too.
See, like I was aware enough of it. I like that it didn't make it a very hard decision.
But that's all I'm saying is all I'm saying about that is that that is not something that because I couldn't separate myself from it being a video game necessarily. It wasn't something where I felt like I was making an impactful choice. I was making a choice for what I did this playthrough.
Right.
And that's almost why I wish. It's kind of this weird thing where I do a lot of research into video games to see if they're good or if I want to spend my time looking at them, right? But the problem with doing that is you also like lose the experience of not knowing, right?
Yeah.
Even something as simple as like, well, in Zelda, I actually didn't know this when I found it out, but shield surfing, right? That is something that could have easily been spoiled for me.
But it's like a super cool thing that it's like, why would you even think about that?
So
and then you go to this mountain and he's like, hey, you can surf on your shield, and you're like,
that's actually not where I learned. Someone shows you in the grass somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Just randomly, kind of near Hyrule Castle. But my point is like I it's weird because I feel like I really enjoy those moments where I discover something in a game,
right?
That or it catches me off guard with just an interesting way that the works, and I feel like when I do research into video games, I lose that in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like I knew going into Night of the Woods exactly what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's like when I like describe a movie to you guys. That's why I just like, oh, it was directed by this guy, because I don't want to say anything about the movie. Just watch it.
Well, usually I'll at least say the premise, if nothing else.
I was totally out. Like I had no idea what Night in the Woods might be. I had such a few bit of threads. Like I knew that May had a friend, an alligator friend.
How did you get Night in the Woods? Like, what made you buy it? Did I tell you about it?
No, I like people had been talking about how good it was, and I just bought it.
Okay.
And I tried to avoid spoilers when people were talking about how good it was because I was like, maybe I'll play it. But
Because I feel like I might have told you about it too.
So like all
Yeah.
I knew about Night in the Woods going into it was that May had this friend or the main character had this friend who was an alligator. What I assumed it would be was like a much shittier game where like you were some chick living in a cabin and you're talking to this.
I don't know.
alligator
I
that
feel
you
like
don't
I
know.
feel
I
like
had
people
no
don't.
idea what it was
I feel
at
like
all.
people don't latch on to things in that way unless it's good. It's the same thing with Undertale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about the actual fandom of that game, but people latched onto those characters, and the only reason they latched onto those characters was characters were written well.
Yeah.
And sure, in kind of an absurdist kind of way, but they were really interesting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was going to be a shitty game. I just thought that
I think that you really could. Well, I don't know about Night in the Woods, but I was saying
it might be.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What I thought that it might be would be like, I don't know. There's this cat, and because the only thing I'd really seen about it was like her having conversations with B on the computer, and so I thought maybe okay. So like there's this cat, and like this is just the picture I was drawing in my head. You're this cat, and you have to go out into the woods, and maybe it's like some kind of survival something. And at the end of each day, you talk to your alligator friend in the big city, and like I had no idea what it could be, and I went into it, and I knew that there was some occult shit going on. So like in one of the first scenes in the game, I already knew. I was like, okay, this
in the
is
trailer,
different. She's going home, and in one of the first scenes in the game, she like is walking through the woods, and she says, hey, wow, there's probably all kinds of witches familiars out here, like frogs and cats and stuff. That'd be cool. And I was like, oh, she's a witch. She does magic and shit. So the game's gonna open up into that. No, never happened. It was just like really grounded, real
I knew a little bit more about the game than you did when I went into it. Even if you hadn't told me anything about it, I kind of knew I knew that it was a walking simulator, ultimately.
Basically.
And like you can argue with
I would call it more of a visual novel.
Yeah. Fuck.
I don't like that. I don't like the term visual novel because I feel like that's even more restrictive to what it is.
Here's the thing. I feel like visual novels describes like a specific type of thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's a visual. I think walking simulator is a little bit more generous with what it can be.
When I hear walking simulator, I think of like
you literally think of Dear Esther, but walking simulator. I think the game that you should actually probably most associate with it is Gone Home. And you can say
which is still like you
can say what you want about how good that game is, but that is kind of like the sort of the quintessential like what it is. What are you making a face for?
Well, like
Gone Home.
When you compare Night in the Woods to Gone Home, there's so much more going on in Night in Gone Home.
No, that's the thing. Well, I don't know, like
in the gameplay too, even.
In the
I don't know. Like I think that people can have. Let me finish. I think people can have a lot of different experiences with different games, and for you guys, Gone Home didn't resonate at all. But for certain people, they really enjoyed that game to the extent that they made that their game of the year that year. In particular, Adam Sessler really loved that game, and that was his favorite game of whatever year it came out. Just in the same way that Night in the Woods really resonated with you, and it became your favorite game of the year. But ultimately, I think that a game in which you kind of just sort of go through the story and maybe make some choices here and there, like, I think that kind of fits. Even something like What Remains of Edith Finch, which has mini games in it.
There is literally no choices at all.
Yeah, it's literally just reading.
Gone Home,
diary.
Dear Esther,
but in a way though, I don't think Night in the Woods really has choices. Like in a single playthrough. No, listen to me. Let me finish. Let me say what I mean by that before you just cut me off. In a way, Night in the Woods doesn't have any real choices because you go through it, and in what, like, maybe in that playthrough you have limited choices, but the choices aren't limited. You can replay it and then get the same feeling.
But that means that there are no games that have choices whatsoever.
And that
if you
have you
replay
played
Mass
Stanley
Effect,
Parable? That was the point of that game. Was
You
that
could
you
hold-
had no choices.
okay, but you could. What? That's not what I'm saying. Like, you can't say that Night in the Woods has the same number of choices as Dear Esther, because if you replay Night in the Woods, it has.
I'm saying that it has a story that can be experienced in a few different ways.
Well, here's the thing. With
I would say that because of it, Night in the Woods is
long.
longer than something like Dear Esther. But they're still telling a story.
Well, yeah, they're telling a story, but like you actually have a connection to the character. Like you were saying, where this sort of feels better than like a book or even a movie is because you do get those, even if they are basically inconsequential. You do get those little choices.
Right.
Unlike Gone Home, you get
no,
nothing.
but you do get choices in Gone Home. Here's
No,
listen
What
to me.
choice?
Listen to me. Here's the thing you get in Gone Home. You can just ignore everything in the house and just do the straight line the plot and then just get through it.
And then you
And literally
experience
look at
none of the
nothing.
story.
And literally well, no, you get the very basic, like, oh, I've found the person or whatever. You do the very bare minimum of finding the clues to like get into the game. You can do it in like what, 30 minutes or something.
It's like 30 seconds.
But
it's
Well,
literally.
that's if you
But
skip
that's
everything.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, but like in a way, everything that you look at in that game is a choice. In a way,
I suppose, but you still feel
that's
nothing from the
either-
character you're playing. Like
That's
you
either-
felt nothing for the character you playing, but I think a lot of people did feel.
Well, the character
they had
that
a connection.
you are playing in Night in the Woods is nothing. There is nothing to feel for that character. You are feeling
You
for
mean
that
Gone Home?
character's sister in Gone Home.
Gone Home. Yeah,
There,
you are
there
feeling
is
for that
nothing
character.
to feel. You are feeling for that character's person that they are reading about and learning
Yeah,
about.
which
and you feel
you
nothing
should
from that
probably have
character
more of a
because they
connection with that, but
May
even
as
then.
well be like a blank.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
But
that Night in the Woods has a better
choices in Night in
story.
the Woods.
I'm not saying
am
that.
100%.
Well, no, I do think that it has a better story, but I'm not saying that it has a better or worse story. What I'm saying is that the choices don't actually matter in either.
I would say that the choice, even if they don't matter, I feel like the choices do feel better in Night.
but if you say
Yeah,
that the choice, like
I agree.
that's what you have to do. You have to consider how the choices
You know,
feel.
I think we're
You don't-
kind of going down a rabbit hole. I think the only thing that we were really talking about here is what a walking simulator is.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
I don't.
Regardless of that, the way that the choices give the feeling that the choices give you in Night in the Woods is so different than any other game. Like the choices in Mass Effect, it's like
I wouldn't say
that
any
was
other
like,
game. I would say for
yeah.
you had a different experience. But like, let's look at Life is Strange, right?
The Walking Dead.
Or The
Telltale
Walking
series.
Dead. That's actually probably a
No,
better
yeah,
example because we
okay,
know
that's
more
fair.
about that.
Telltale series.
But yeah, like, and in the same
None
way,
of
the
those
choice,
choices
none of those in that game, none of the choices actually matter because they literally don't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas at least in Night of the Woods, you have to play it again to
Yeah.
like see the other choices. But
Yeah. But when you play it for the first time, you feel as though you're making decisions that are impacting
Yeah.
the world, or at least
right. But I'm
impacting what
saying
happens with your
like
character.
you could as easily put Walking Dead into the walking simulator category as you could put.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know.
all.
I almost-
And this is like a big detour that I actually didn't really want to go into. I was just kind of. I just said Night in the Woods was a walking simulator, and then we argued a bunch about it. But I don't think that's like the point.
I almost feel like we need like a because I believe you. You're right. You could say that. And that's kind of like one of the words for it. I like a lot of people would say that.
It is like I think if you want to be really reductive, I think actually what a walking simulator, like a better name for walking simulator to me, the way that I think of what a walking simulator is a narrative based game.
Yeah.
And you could say visual novels are narrative based games, but those have more specific trappings. Whereas walking simulator to me is kind of an open genre.
Yeah. Well, and that's I feel like we need like a word that distinguishes like what The Walking
I
Dead
don't
is.
care
and
about
what...
walking simulators. I'm trying to talk about Night in the Woods.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like we totally went
yeah.
down a rabbit hole because I called something and then we called it something and then we started arguing about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So I'm sorry, but like
I like Night in the Woods because I connected with the characters. I don't know what more to say about it. I don't know what more to say about it without going back to whether or not it's a walking simulator. I don't know anything to say about it. I connected with the characters in a way that I've never connected with the characters in any piece of media in my life. And that's why it's my favorite game of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me because I've had similar experiences with movies.
Yeah.
And books.
Speaking of the
more
way...
books more so than movies, but...
speaking of the way that you guys are like talking about the reasons that you liked it, we might want to watch Lady Bird together, because that's the entire criticism that I've heard of Lady Bird, is that it's just so good at what it does. Like, it's so very beautifully genuine. Like,
Premise of Lady Bird, I heard it's good, but I know nothing about it.
It's okay. It's just a California high school student plans to escape from her family and a small town by going to college in New York. This has been a good year for I need to get the fuck out of this town move.
I don't know. I don't like watching movies that are just like... I might watch it anyway just because it's supposed to be really good, but it just sounds like a teen drama, which... Not to compare it to something like Twilight or whatever, but it's just like... That's not a genre that interests me, so...
Yeah, I kind of have the same problem, like I've talked about, like, 20-something problem movies. Apparently this is just one that takes like, the basic premise and just does an overtly incredible job with it. Like, just completely fucks it up, just in a good way, of course.
Yeah.
Just does the best possible job you can.
I mean, like, there's Oscar-winning movies that I will never watch because what they're trying to do is something that I don't want to look at. So
yeah, well, and not only that, but it's like they're not even just Oscar-winning movies, just like crazy, super popular movies.
Right.
You know?
Like, okay, I'm not interested in watching
Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, well, Breaking Bad. I was actually gonna say something even like Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Fast and the Furious is an insanely popular series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in cars or racing. So even if, I mean, I could watch it, but it's not something that interests me. I don't know.
Those movies aren't exactly award winners.
Well, no, but like they do what they
fun.
set out to do really well.
Yeah.
It is a good story of surrounding cars and racing, right? But if I don't care about cars and race, well, I mean, you know, good stories in air quotes. It's good action story, right?
Yeah,
Nothing
it's
else.
good action mixed around cars and racing.
Right.
Where The Rock is fun.
But if I don't really like cars and racing or care what Vin Diesel's doing, then like, do I really care about it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's sort of where I am with them too.
You said The Rock, though.
Well, yeah.
No, The Rock is in some of the later ones.
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
He's not in the... I think he starts in the third one.
I just always assumed he was not in them because most of the time people confuse The Rock and Vin Diesel, so whenever somebody says The Rock is in them, I just assume they're
Jason Statham is also...
Yeah, Jason, yeah. Everyone who's ever been in a movie is in them.
But basically most action
so it's like
stars
the
are in it.
Expendables.
It's like
Yes, but in a less overt way.
Better? Like, just like, the Expendables are, like, almost not even fun to watch. These are.
I liked the Expendables, but...
I never saw them.
You know what Expendables reminded me of? Broforce. It's just like in a way, it's just like this is just a dumb reason for all of these characters to interact, or all of these actors to interact. So I'm like cool with it. I'm like I'm fine. You know, I don't really care that what they're doing makes minimal sense. I'm just along for the ride and I'm having fun. Like it's not a great movie, but I'm having fun, right? So
yeah. My feeling with the first Expendables is it's best if you look at it from a completely different perspective than the movie gives you. Is if you look at it from like the perspective of this is a political drama about like this El Presidente man and his daughter hating him and joining the revolution. If you think about it, like this is the movie that doesn't exist. If you just make that up in your head and then just imagine this, but then suddenly Terry Crews shows up with a machine gun at the end, it's fucking hilarious. Just this incredibly serious drama, but then suddenly Arnold Schwarzenegger blows everything
Anyway,
up.
to get
I know
back to
you've
A Man
already
in the
talked
Woods.
about it here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
were you gonna change the subject?
I was gonna move away from Night in the Woods because I
Yeah.
said what I.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wanted to say one more thing about Night in the Woods though. I can like really tell that it is written well and it's interesting. It just hasn't like gotten its claws into me the same way that it has for other people.
Weird. Because it got its claws into me. I pretty much played it straight through to the end, then immediately played it again.
Yeah, I don't know what it. Again, like I want to sit down and experience all of these games, right? But
Yeah, it's just like you have so much games to play.
yeah, I have so much time and so much games to play, and like I like on one hand, that game almost pushed me away from it because I kind of depressing.
Oh yeah, that is.
But I don't know, it was interesting and I like the characters, and actually
was
I want to kind of go back and play it just because I like Greg so much, honestly. I'm not super interested in the Bay route because I didn't like her. Whereas Greg I do, so
when I first played it, let me talk a little bit about my experience the first time I experienced it. After the party and when I started to choose like who to hang out with, I was like, Greg loves me because I was already at that point, even if I hadn't made any real impactful choices, or I know now that I hadn't made any real impactful choices, I was already like straight up like I was there with them. And I said, okay, Greg really likes me. Greg already likes me. I don't like, I can just go and talk to him anytime. We're best friends. B, it seems like B is really mad at me. She doesn't like me, but she's willing to hang out. So I need to fix this friendship with her. And that's why I went with B's route first. It had nothing to do with which character I liked better.
I bounced back and
Because
forth
of the way that I was looking at it.
I went through three dates, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't even know how to like play dates or whatever.
Dating start.
Date Greg in
I
the Woods.
did Greg, Bay, and then Greg again. At least I think. I don't actually know for sure. But like for me, the relationship with Greg was more interesting because like in a way, Bay already didn't like me, so I didn't really care to fix the friendship. Whereas with Greg, I felt like we did have limited time to hang out in the because he was moving and stuff, and it was weird that like it in the same way that like I've had experiences where I moved away from a friend and then eventually came back and spent time with him again, and it was like different. It's just like the situation, the relationship between the two of us is just different. We spent time apart, and it's like, in one hand, we want to just automatically be friends again, but that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So right. I was more. There was more nuance in. I think I saw more nuance in the relationship with Greg right away than maybe you did.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, I went back and did Greg's route. Greg is.
And then Greg's route really goes places, from what I've seen of it. But like for instance, like Sanguinius, one of my friends, we were really close friends, but I basically never talked to him now, and it's kind of like if we were to just pick up friends like as friends again, it would be weird. I don't know.
Right. I don't feel like it was like I don't feel like it was really that weird for May to come back from college after like 2 years to be friends with Greg again, because I don't know, like they just seemed to like they knew each other so well. They knew each other since they were kids, and they were like so close, so tight knit that when they like even if they didn't talk the whole time that May was in college, like that he was just so happy to see her that it didn't really matter. That's what I had gotten out of it before I played Greg's route, and that's how it still kind of felt. Like, especially in the last hangout with Greg, like the big important one. That's kind of like what they went over, like, hey, things aren't how they used to be, but
Yeah.
you know, we're great friends. like trying to keep as little spoilers as possible because I think everybody should play this game.
Yeah, so yeah, Night in the Woods, Dalson's favorite game of the year. I think it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I also loved it. It's like my third favorite game.
Mhm.
I'm not a girl,
Okay.
but okay. I thought you was all girls.
Including me, you
Fair
thought I
enough.
was the girl?
I had this horrible pedo stash thing going on too. I'm a very testosterone heavy girl, you know.
To those of you watching on YouTube later, we are
We're
responding
reacting
to,
to-
the
into a
chat.
person on the
Twitch
chat, yeah.
Thought we were all girls.
It's all right.
No, we're not all girls. We're just Black Sabbath roadies. Yeah.
So
Yeah, do we
we're
want
on
to
our
talk
way
about
to
anything?
closing up here. Why don't you go over...
Actually, do you mind if I do my top 10 movies first?
Yeah, why don't we
Okay,
go
sure.
through that? Oh, and
You've talked about Breath of the Wild.
yeah,
on the podcast
Breath
a
of the
lot.
Wild is my favorite game of the year,
Yeah.
so just FYI. But yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which we've went
So
over
I'm
the
gonna
reasons.
try to go through this really quick. Keep in mind, I have not seen Lady Bird. I have not seen Call Me by Your Name. I have not seen Your Name yet, though I'm gonna watch it tonight. I have not seen Phantom Thread or Killing of the Sacred Deer. So there's 5 movies that might have made my top 10 list that I have not seen. Also,
I feel
Bird
like-
Boy for a 6th one.
I feel like Your Name would absolutely be pretty high on your list.
Yeah, and again, like if I give extra credits for great animation on my lists always.
Yeah, but animation isn't what makes it stellar.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
It's good.
I
It's
just-
good, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like they do anything crazy.
It's
with
not
it.
just because of the animation, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 10, I'm going to put Logan Lucky. This was a very, very fun movie. It was a great heist movie. All of the characters in it were fun. There was something that everyone in your family can get something out of it. You know, the kids are gonna like the humor. The adults are gonna like the action and stuff, and grandma's just gonna like it all around. Adam Driver is great. Adam Driver is great in everything he's ever been in. Love this movie. You should see it. Number 9 was John Wick 2, a movie that accomplished something that I was really surprised. It made the invincible murder man actually seem like he might have trouble with something, or make us feel a little bit afraid for him at the end. I was not looking forward to this movie because I saw the first one. It was really good, and I was thinking, okay, they're just going to make a sequel and it's going to be trash. When I watched this movie, it built on the world, made everything more interesting, and now I'm really excited for the third one.
Also,
Yeah.
you haven't seen any of these movies.
You saw John Wick 2.
I really didn't.
Okay.
It was in, like,
number-
it was in like such shit quality that I barely even paid attention because I could not watch it properly.
What happened was it was in shit quality in the beginning, and then you were really mad about it being shit quality in the beginning for the rest of the movie.
No, it was still stuttering for the rest of the movie. I just stopped.
Number 8 was Get Out. We talk a lot.
I liked
We
Get Out.
talked about Bright, which was really, really ham-fisted, and I feel like this movie is very, very, very much this. If you want to make a movie with a message, you have to make a good movie. Jordan Peele did that. He made a great movie, a fantastic movie, a great directorial debut. The man knows what he's doing, and I'm happy he's in the scene now. I'm excited for more for him. The next movie, number 7, was A Ghost Story. I talked about this one a little bit on the podcast. A beautiful look at lingering depression and just what it means to lose everything in a very interesting way as a literal sheet ghost. It's an incredibly affecting movie that will linger with you long after you finished watching it. Number 6 is Baby Driver, the exact opposite of the one that I just said. This is everything that Logan Lucky was, but amped up to 11. Edgar Wright is an incredible
Also,
director.
Good music.
Oh yeah, really good music. Edgar Wright is an incredible director. He knows how to make a movie flow fast and sort of hits, and he did a really, really good job. Movie. I've talked about it. Saints talked about it. Everyone's talked about it. good ass movie.
Hey,
Number
did you
5
see
oh,
Baby Driver, Dawson?
I
Oh.
never wound up seeing Baby Driver.
We should see
oh,
that.
okay. Yeah. Number 5 was Dunkirk. We haven't gotten a good War is Hell movie in a long time, and
I
I've
didn't
been
see
missing
it.
them. It was an incredibly intense War is Hell movie where a lot of War is Hell movies have a lot of lofty dialogue and explanations. This movie had very little dialogue and made you feel constantly afraid. It used the filmmaking medium as its storytelling device to make you feel how these characters felt. Number 4 was Logan, an incredible superhero movie. Something that was everything that I wanted it to be, which I was really surprised that it was everything that I wanted it to be.
Is Wolverine really a superhero, though?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
Sure,
enough.
sure,
It's
sure.
especially in this movie. It
He's an
is
anti-hero, but
officially
yeah.
my second favorite superhero movie ever made. Number 3, Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. This movie is Malcolm McDowell's a little bit taken apart from In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, which focused a little bit more on the humor rather than like the characters and the horrible, depressing stuff that happens. Whereas this was very much the horrible, depressing stuff that happens with a little bit of the humor put into it. He is very good at balancing both of these. And in this movie, it really, really shows. All of the multitudes of characters in this movie are great. They all have incredible arcs, and everyone definitely feels human. Number 2 is Wind River. Holy shit, I was not expecting to like this movie as much as I did.
Really good movie.
Its director previously had worked on Sicario, which I really, really liked, and a movie called Hell or High Water, which I really, really liked. And,
I still need to go back and watch Hell or High Water. I did see Sicario.
Okay.
I definitely liked
Yeah.
Wind River better than Sicario, but
Yeah.
Every time you say
probably gonna like-
Sicario, I just think of Cato Sicarius,
Yeah, okay.
and it upsets me a little bit.
But yeah, you'll probably like Hell or High Water a lot better than even Sicario. This movie is successful in everything it tries. I'm glad that we gave Taylor Sheridan complete reins on the movie. Every time that something intense happens, your heart is incredibly pumped, and every time it's not, you're in goddamn tears. It's a fucking fantastic movie. And my number 1 movie of the year, needless to fucking say, it's Blade Runner 2049. This is the second goddamn year in a row Denis Villeneuve has topped my top 10 list, and the 4th year in a row he's been in the top 5. Friendship ended with David Fincher. Denis Villeneuve is now my favorite director.
I'm surprised that John Wick 2 made your top 10 Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy was 11.
Did it just barely get bumped off?
Straight up, it just barely got kicked off, just by that much.
Because I definitely liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2 better than I liked John Wick. Though I liked John Wick too much for me.
Yeah.
Not in the same way anyway.
Yeah.
I think that I agree with a lot of your picks of the ones I've seen, but I would probably rearrange them quite a bit.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blade Runner was a absolute visual treat, incredible narrative treat. It sounded incredible. So on a technical level, it was a fucking amazing piece of art. On a storytelling level, it was a fucking amazing piece of art, and it's great. It's so good, and I love it so much. It's the one movie that I can think of that, being a soft reboot, people have come in immediately after it came out and said, yeah, I love this so much more than the original. And the huge diehard fans of the original have been like, yeah, okay, no, I can see this. It was really good. So yeah, those were my top 10 movies of the year.
And you don't have to watch
What was
have to
number
watch
one?
the reboot Blade Runner.
Yeah.
What was
Blade
number
Runner.
2?
Wind River.
I missed one of them somewhere.
Did you do the 3 Billboards one?
That was
Which was
number
number
3,
three?
right?
Yeah, that was number 3, yeah.
Weird. Oh
What was-
well.
What was 4?
Logan.
I don't think you said Logan.
I definitely said
did
I
Logan.
think
say
you
Logan.
skipped over. Okay.
In fact, Saine commented on when I said Logan.
Yeah, I said, is he really a superhero though?
Yeah.
I want to just shout out some of our other favorite games of the year
Okay.
too before we go.
We went over this list in detail.
We've talked about many of these games.
much of many of these games.
Some ones that we didn't talk about were Guild Wars 2, Path of Fire, the
Just
expansion.
such a better expansion than Heart of Thorns. Like, it
Such a
blows
good
it out of the water
game.
Yeah.
so far away. And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the original experience with Guild Wars, I don't think anything's ever going to replicate it.
I don't know.
But
For me, it felt
Path
like
of
Path
Fire-
of Fire felt like an entire new game added on to the original Guild Wars 2. I loved it so much. But we still need to finish it. We need to put more time in it. Resident Evil 4, also very good. One of my favorite games for sure.
Yeah,
Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games too, but
this year Resident Evil 7 came out, and it was really, really... I played a little bit of Resident Evil 4.
Metal Gear Solid 5, definitely one of our favorite games. No.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5, best game of the year.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is my game of the year.
I'm the only one who played it, but Persona 5 is also really high up there on my list. I'd put it higher on this list than you guys did, but...
Only because of the fact that
aggregated. But yeah, I really love Persona 5. Cuphead. We did talk about Cuphead, actually.
We've constantly talked about Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead is good.
Yeah.
And then Endless Space 2.
Oh, I fucking love Endless Space 2. I did talk a little bit about it.
He made videos about that on YouTube. Thel made videos about that.
Whole video about.
That's like the only Thel video I haven't watched.
No, you watched the Endless Space one. You didn't watch the Stellaris.
Oh, okay.
Which is disappointing because he put a joke specifically for
you.
That's funny. I still need it. I just haven't had time, man. I have a million things going on all the time.
That's good.
And then our 10th game, our aggregate 10 game, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
I know that it's popular and everybody loves it, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a good multiplayer game.
Yeah. We already talked about Nier, Night in the Woods, Legend of Zelda. All of those are on our nice top 10 list too.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda is my favorite game of all time, maybe.
Okay, fair enough.
Before this game came out, I had to really go, what game was my favorite game ever? I can't really decide, and this one is Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with Night in the Woods. Because before I was like, do I like Monster Hunter as a series?
Fallout New Vegas.
If I do, Fallout New Vegas. That's the one singular game I could point to. But Monster Hunter is one of my favorite series. Pokemon is one of my favorite series. Fallout New Vegas got it by default because...
Oh, that's true. Pokemon Red is probably...
It was the single game that I could point to. The other games, I'm like, I like the games in the series. Fallout New Vegas stands out to me out of the Fallout series, which I already adore.
Yeah.
But Night in the Woods, it's a different experience, but it's like...
You know what your experience with Night in the Woods kind of reminds me of? Which
What's
is
that?
kind of funny. Total Biscuit. His favorite game of all time is Brothers, Tale of Two Sons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And he's normally not very, into narrative-based games.
Mm-hmm.
Though that game also has a decent amount of, mechanical stuff in it, too. But yeah, it's just I don't know, it's kind of out of nowhere. It hit him in a spot that was, very uniquely to him. And that became his favorite game of all time, even though that is not even a genre that is in his favorite games normally. Whereas it's in the same way for you. Night in the Woods is a very narratively focused game, and before this game came out, you straight up said, I don't like narratively based games. I don't care about the stories in most of these games. Except for maybe Fallout. There's a handful.
It's not like I didn't care about stories. It's just with games, I always would be attracted to them for the gameplay first.
Right. And then Night in the Woods comes out, and it's a weird anomaly for you, which is really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas Breath of the Wild, very much makes sense for me. Yeah. If you compare it to my favorite games, not Resident, Pokemon Red, which is a very open-ended, unstructured game in a lot of ways.
Far Cry.
Zelda Link's Awakening.
Which is a Zelda game.
Which is a Zelda game, but this game captures what I liked about that game in a better way than that game. Not that it has the same name on it. I don't even care that it's both Zelda. I'm not one of the people who's super invested in the character of Link, right?
Yeah.
But man, that game is so fun. Yeah, so all of my games are that are interesting to me kind of carry this similar thread. I will say that I like things like Heavy Rain and things like
Excuse me.
Beyond Two Souls. Those were games that are very like narratively focused, even if they have like gameplay elements and like some puzzle solving elements. Yeah, very much in my favorite games too. But man, I don't know, like it's just really interesting to me that Night of the Woods is like this weird anomaly for you.
Yeah, it is weird. I find it like I didn't like if I like step back from myself and look, that it's not one of those games that I would expect myself to like, but because of the like it's hard to say that yeah, I couldn't see myself liking it because I like it so much. It's hard to say that, but like if I really think about it before I played that, it doesn't like it doesn't make sense that I would like this game so very much.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say Hollow Knight's like my favorite game of all time, but it's definitely up in like the top 3. Just because like I really like Metroidvanias, and
I'm actually a little surprised that you latched onto that game too, but in a less to a Hollow Knight, but to a much lesser extent than I'm interested in how Night in the Woods captured Dalsson.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a really good Metroidvania.
I really need to go back and play it.
Yeah,
but like I said, the thing that turns me off to Hollow Knight a little bit from what I've seen of it is more the Metroid than the Castlevania, and I'm like Dead Cells.
Very Metroid, yeah.
I think that I probably would like Dead Cells more because it's the more Castlevania part.
Yeah.
Without the exploration, which kind of sucks, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. Dead Cells is pretty explory.
To some extent, it's just not like. I kind of like the backtracking and being in a fixed space,
right? Instead of randomized.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not that I dislike that, because I actually really love roguelites in general. So I really like that's like an interesting, weird fire in a bottle for me.
If you want it as a Castlevania thing.
Yeah.
You like the fixed space, yeah. Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, and that's and Hollow Knight does have a little bit of that with the like charms you can get, but for the most part you're going to be using like a lot of your abilities. The charms are just like background stuff that
it's the Dark Souls of Metroidvanias.
The Dark Souls of Metroidvania. It kind of is.
It actually is more so than that, than just being difficult.
Yeah.
Which is
specifically again in the plot and the way that
actually the difficulty is probably like the least.
Oh, that too. Yeah,
like the themes and the plot and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The combat is like the least Dark Souls part about that, really. In
fact, to the point where the combat is like very much the opposite of Dark Souls. The combat in Hollow Knight is really, really fast and flashy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's however everything else is
would like
Dark
it better
Souls.
Than, I don't know. I need to. Yeah. I still need to put time into it. It was something that's always been on my radar, but I've never pulled the trigger on it. I don't know. Maybe I should just buy it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Force myself to commit to it by paying money.
Just play it off of my.
No, but force myself to play it by committing money to it rather than sharing your copy. Which I would not buy Nier Automata, but I'm playing through it on yours, so.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely worth the money. It's not that it's pretty not expensive, so yeah, it's totally worth
it's
the money.
$10 right now.
Yeah.
What is your favorite game of all time? Would you say, Thel?
Fuck, dude, I have no idea.
No idea.
They're like I usually default to Diablo 2 just because of that's like feels like the game that's been so like influential to how I like games. But then there's games like Half-Life 2, which is very influential to how much I like fucking like my first person.
The way that video games can tell a story in a way that other games can't.
And then games like Doom and Quake, which were both also super with that. And there's shit like Super Mario Brothers, which is probably the game I played the most ever. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that really counts. I've definitely played things for a lot of time that I would not say is my favorite.
Yeah.
I've put so much time into Skyrim, I don't even know how I could count it.
Yeah.
So, And
So-
Oblivion. I might have put more time into Oblivion. I don't actually know.
Well,
So,
yeah, and like Oblivion and Fallout New
before-
Vegas, I'd also put
Before
really,
Night
really
in the
high up
Woods,
there.
New Vegas was absolutely my favorite game. Like, Monster Hunter is my favorite series of games, but I can't point to one, so I would have to say New Vegas. So before Breath of the Wild, Saine, what would you say your favorite game of all time would be?
Maybe
Also
Oblivion?
Metroid. Yeah, yeah,
Oblivion or Pokemon Red, maybe.
fair enough.
Neither of them bad choices.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless I'm forgetting something, which is totally possible.
But I mean, none of this matters.
Maybe Guild Wars. Guild
like,
Wars 2, I don't know.
none of these favorite games of all time matter to me because Monster Hunter World is coming out in a couple months, and I ain't ever gonna play another game as long as I live.
Yeah, maybe next year, like, Night in the Woods will just beat the fuck out by Monster Hunter, who knows?
Like, no, I'm telling you, January 1st, 2019, I'm gonna stand up. You guys aren't even gonna ask. We aren't even gonna introduce the topic. I'm just gonna say Monster Hunter Worlds.
Don't say that, man. You're gonna jinx it. Watch it just be terrible. No, don't say that.
No, it's fantastic. Everything I've seen about it is fantastic. The demo is fantastic. It's phenomenal.
Well, here's the thing: if it's just a
anyway.
Monster Hunter game with more stuff and on
PC.
graphics, then it's probably gonna be good, unless they
Exactly.
royally fuck it up somehow.
Loot
But
box.
then again, that is
They already
true.
said they're not gonna do
They
that.
could.
Yeah, I don't know.
Loot boxes.
They actually
Unlock a Raytheon to fight.
they actually said that they were not going to do that.
I don't
Okay.
know how they
There was an
would do
interview
that.
where he specifically said that adding randomized content like that would ruin the progression system, and they weren't willing to do that. He
Yeah.
specifically said that. So,
Right.
Yeah, Dalson's just gonna be like Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter. So my favorite.
okay,
game is
that's a good
Death
idea.
Stranding.
Why
Monster
don't we
Hunter
talk?
World.
Why don't we talk about our most anticipated game of
Hey,
next year, and
so
then
Monster
that'll
Hunter
end it.
World,
Okay, yeah, and then we'll
Monster
end
Hunter
right there.
World.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Monster
I
Hunter.
already I already said it. That's how we segued into this. So you guys know what I'm anticipating.
My most anticipated games of next year are games I don't even think are gonna fucking come out next year. Death Stranding, definitely.
I don't think that's that's
just-
expected not to come out this year. You know what? I think
Yeah.
I know what yours is though.
Mountain Blade Warband.
Bannerlord.
Bannerlord, yeah.
How about Red Dead Redemption?
Okay, yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a good one.
And that's
I've
what
never-
that one is-
I never played the
I-
first one, so I don't have the same love as other people do, but I'm definitely gonna pick it up because it sounds like it's good.
That was
It's
one of
on
the two
PC.
games I owned on Xbox that wasn't a Guitar Hero.
I always loved cowboy games. Like Gun and Dark Watch were like two of my favorite games.
I liked Dark
For a
Watch,
long-ass
but
time.
not for the same reason. I didn't like Dark Watch because it was a Western. But
I liked Dark Watch because it was Western, which I think is like
I liked Dark Watch because it was a supernatural Western.
right.
I liked
I
Dark
like-
Watch more than I liked a gun.
See, I like Dark Watch just because it was a Western, which is like really not how a lot of people felt about it. I know.
Yeah.
No,
Like most
opposite for
people
me.
like yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure most people are on board with you saying, but the Western aspects are what attracted me to it. And Gun, I loved Gun.
Yeah. Yeah, my most anticipated games are just Mountain
Oh.
Blade Bannerlord and Star Citizen.
There
two
are games
that
I'm
will
looking
never, ever come
forward
out.
to, but there's not a lot that.
Here's one that I'm really looking forward to. It's already out, but it's getting a PC release early 2018. Is Final Fantasy 15. I'm
Oh,
really
yeah.
excited to actually play that.
It's gonna be like 100 gigs.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
likely going to pick up a PS4 just to play the new Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah, that's fair.
Do I know that that will be my most anticipated game?
No.
No.
Well, most anticipated means the one you're most excited for right now before it comes out. So
The thing about Spider-Man though is I know
It
that it's
burns so much.
Insomniac. I know that it's Insomniac, which is one of my favorite video game producers of all time. I know that like it looks really nice, but like Thel said, I've been burned on Spider-Man so many times that I just don't know
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Spider-Man. I don't know. Spider-Man's probably mine.
Okay.
Maybe Monster Hunter World. I don't really like Monster Hunter that much, but playing I think why I don't like Monster Hunter might just be that I have not had a good experience playing with other people.
Yeah, you've never really played it with other
Yeah,
people.
I've never really
And
played it with people.
I've never really played Monster Hunter at all,
I'd
but
be
they're
willing to
it's
play
And the
one of
controls
other
really
games,
suck
but
on
we
the-
have to like think
Controls
about
really
it and
suck
do
on
it.
the 3DS. I would much rather play it on the PC.
Yeah, controls aren't great.
Maybe with a
Better than
controller,
the-
I guess we'll see, but
Better than the fucking PSP controls, though.
I should finish Metal Gear Solid 5.
Me too.
And by finish, I mean keep playing it. I don't even know how far I am relative to the game.
Yeah. I think you've gotten farther
Oh,
than
I know, and I
have.
just thought of another one I really anticipate. I don't know if it's supposed to come out next year, but fucking Bayonetta 3.
Oh yeah, shit.
I am
Oh,
so
I don't
hyped for
actually
Bayonetta
know the
3.
release date.
Mm.
When's Metroid supposed to come out?
Never ever.
Hey, it gave us a fucking picture that said Metroid Prime and nothing else, my man.
It didn't even say Metroid Prime. It had the Metroid Prime logo and a 4.
Yeah.
Nintendo drops 18 mystery
You're right.
pre-orders on Amazon for Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mystery pre-orders.
So it sounds like there's an upcoming
How the fuck does a mystery pre-order work? Do you just pre-order a game that you don't even know what it is?
No, they don't let
Is
you
this
actually
EA
pre-order
games?
it. They don't actually let you pre-order anything. They're just placeholder pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just imagine that that's exactly what EA is. You know, what we could do is we could just say a new
Pre-order
EA game,
boxes.
pre-order now, and then we give them fucking trash. They'll do it. You know they will.
That's all I can really think of now. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
I'd come up with a list. If
I don't
had
think
to.
I would, to be honest.
I'm
Even if
looking
I
forward
had
to
more time to like look at, because I was sort of looking things up, and I'm like,
Yeah, I get you.
I'm looking forward to Star Citizen Alpha 3.0. I'm also looking forward to when the game comes out in early
looking-
2042.
I'm a little, yeah, like when you can play it on your actual spaceship.
I can finally play this new game. It's been
Yeah.
40 years.
I'm pretty excited for Star Citizen 2 because it does
Yeah.
look like it's shaping up to be fun.
They're already
also
planning
Cyber-
a second one?
Also, Cyberpunk,
Ooh, that's
20
true,
20 numbers.
Yeah, 20 something something. What is it,
2077?
yeah. It'll be 2077 by the time they call it out. They put it out, so they'll have to call it 2177.
Oh, it is 2077. Cool.
Hey, okay. Yeah, it is. I'm also looking forward to that game.
I want a Shadowrun game that's actually good, damn it.
We should just play Shadowrun,
Well,
the board game, the
the
tabletop.
tabletop. Yeah, we probably should, but I've always wanted to. I just don't know who would be good to DM it, because I don't think Thel would be good to DM it, no offense.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about Shadowrun.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but you know about Blade Runner.
I mean, yeah,
It's Blade Runner, but with elves.
Works.
it works.
Okay.
Fairy lives don't matter.
That'll, I think they might actually make that joke.
I'm entirely. That's one of the lines everyone cites as being really terrible.
Right?
Bright.
Yeah, right.
In Blade Runner, yeah.
And Blade
I
Runner,
love
yeah.
the part where Harrison Ford just goes, "Fairy lives don't matter." Then Ryan Gosling looks at him and is like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
Okay. So that concludes this week's podcast. We will see you next week.
And the most
They'll put up a video today, so go watch that.
Already
There
have,
will be more
apparently.
Divinity. There will be more Night in the Woods.
Yes.
stream schedule is still the same. It's down in the panels below.
And
And
we'll check you out next time.
Most important thing, stay beautiful.